weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion. It's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Sebastian Gorka, weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, followed by Stacey Washington at 5. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, we honor traditions, celebrate faith, and cherish memories. Take an active role in establishing your legacy for future generations by pre-planning your final arrangements today. Alleviate your loved ones of future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of interest-free financing and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Hi, this is Maria and Diane with the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of App Properties Christie's International. We wanted to tell you why we placed number 9 in Illinois as the top producing real estate team and number 1 in Arlington Heights.
In the past 9 years, we assisted 1,975 buyers and sellers achieve the American dream of home ownership, selling $720 million in real estate.
If you are considering making a move, we can help you get the most value for your home in today's market.
Maria and I have over 50 years of combined experience. We take a conservative approach in protecting your asset and will give you the direction and professional advice needed to achieve a successful transaction.
Our pledge to you is to have your best interest at heart. So get the special attention you deserve with our white glove service from our city division to the suburbs.
Contact us for a free, no-obligation market analysis at thedmregroup.com. That's thedmregroup.com.
Information verification, MRED LLC, 2013 to 2022. Real Trends Large Teams 2022.
Our communities deserve to have their tax dollars spent efficiently. All over Chicagoland, there is an increased need for vital projects like wetland improvements, enhancing water quality, or stormwater mitigation to protect homes against devastating floods. Too often, public officials find themselves at the mercy of outside advisors when planning, budgeting, and building these projects. And let's face it, they rarely meet deadlines or budgets, leaving our communities vulnerable. There's a better way forward. Control Point Engineering. At Control Point Engineering, we're more than just civil engineers. We're champions of quality and efficiency with over 40 years of hands-on experience. Teaming up with Earthworks Land Development, we're breaking down barriers and streamlining processes. Say goodbye to disjointed partnerships and hello to seamless collaboration. From conceptualization to construction, Control Point Engineering delivers everything you need in one unified package, saving you time and money. Visit ControlPointLLC.com today to learn about our successful projects all across Chicagoland. Again, that's ControlPointLLC.com.
For over 10 years, the award-winning KWCC Construction has been building a better future locally and throughout the Midwest, constructing with detailed planning and execution, completing projects safely, timely, and with transparency. If you've ever visited the Wilder Park Promenade along the Riverwalk in Aurora or driven past the recently revitalized Copley Hospital, you're looking at the quality construction of KWCC. Maybe you've seen the adaptive reuse of 80 South River Street in downtown Aurora, which now includes residences and businesses that have revitalized the area. No matter the project, KWCC Construction offers services from indoors to outdoors, conception to completion. In fact, KWCC was recognized as 2022's best project in landscape and urban development. Highly recommended, a general contracting company you can count on. That's KWCC. To request a proposal for your project, visit kwccinc.com. That's kwccinc.com.
Can peace of mind fit into just 3 fruits and 3 veggie supplements? Yes. We start by sourcing the best fruit and vegetable ingredients. We ensure that all our produce meets our rigorous standards in order to give you the highest quality product possible. They are then washed, cut, and put through an advanced vacuum cold process that removes the water using pressure. We then take great care in grinding them into a fine powder. These powdered ingredients are then mixed and encapsulated, locking out air and moisture. The capsules are then bottled and shipped right to your door so you can experience your own personal Balance of Nature success story.
I've looked at other supplements out there and they don't have what Balance of Nature has.
Balance of Nature really was the game changer. I'm serious, it works.
Splash into your summer with our summer savings. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first set as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, the Socialist Spice Girls lost a band member yesterday when Fire Marshal Spice, Jamal Bowman, lost his primary to Westchester County Executive George Latimer. We ended the show talking a little bit about it with Dan Henninger from the Wall Street Journal yesterday. And as anticipated, Jamal Bowman was just obnoxious enough to not be able to keep his seat, just obnoxious enough for what constitutes the electorate of the modern new Democrat, new Marxist party. And, obviously you want to reflect on Jamal Bowman's career now. He's such an important figure in D.C.
Your favorite moment? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. My favorite moment was his pep rally in the Bronx where they couldn't even get 300 people, yet Trump got 3,000 plus. And he displayed and he explained, Dan, why he has a potty mouth.
We're not going to show AIPAC the power of the motherfucking South Bronx. People ask me why I got a foul mouth. What am I supposed to do? You coming after me. You coming after my family. You coming after my children. I'm not supposed to fight back. I'm not supposed to fight back. We're going to show them who the we are.
Oh, boy. And he wasn't even angry.
Yeah, so...
He's out of his mind.
He's just a big pea hat. That's all he is a big pea hat. That's all most of these bloviating leftists are. They're big pea hats. They're big peas.
Well, they thought that they were invincible and that they could never be touched. Well, they got touched yesterday.
I mean, let's not
overreact.
overreact.
They're so
it.
cocky. They want
let's
to
not
take over
let's,
the Democratic Party.
Well, they are the base of the party, and they're representative of an electorate. Who you elect is who you are. It's like what you put up on the scoreboard, that's who you are. You can think you're something else. Whatever you produce, that's what you are. And what the Democrats produce are Socialist Spice Girls, and they're adding to their ranks all the time. So they had one casualty yesterday. AOC also had a primary. She survived that, didn't she? So let's not overreact to the importance of Jamal Bowman. He went too far on being pro-Hamas, and there was a boomerang effect combined with some of his other embarrassing antics, like, of course, he's Fire Marshal Spice, pulling the fire alarm. He's an insurrectionist. So it's fun. It's great to see a big pea hat, a big ninny like him pretending to be a man, especially somebody comes out of K through 12 education, as he did.
And he's a principal.
Was.
Was. I wonder if he's going to get his job back.
Nice to see that happen, but let's just enjoy it for what it is, but let's not make more of it than it is either. My favorite moment, though,
Yeah, what's yours, Dan?
is not the fire alarm. People, it's a go-to. This rally over the weekend. Although this was fun, too, the GOTV video. It's more fun now that he has lost the GOTV video that both he and AOC put out. They think they're a couple of gangster rappers. It's rather entertaining.
So
what's up, everybody?
What is
we are
up?
just a few days out till the election day, our primary election on Tuesday, June 25th. But the good news is that the polls are open right now, and we are here for our brother, Jamal Bowman. We want to turn out the vote. I don't care if you live in New York 16 and are turning out to vote for him. I don't care if you live outside New York 16. We are texting our friends. We are turning out. We are calling our friends in Tuckahoe, in White Plains, in New Rochelle, in Yonkers, and telling them to vote for Jamal Bowman.
Ceasefire now, y'all. That's what we're doing. Ceasefire now. Let's get it popping. The polls are open today. The polls are open tomorrow. Make sure you get out the vote. Election day is Tuesday. Let's go. We need record turnout all across the district, especially in Yonkers, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Co-op City, and Edenwald. Let's get it popping.
You know, the other thing about these couple of Socialist Spice Girls that came to mind as I'm watching this play out and their antics over the weekend, jumping around on stage and
like rapping it. Like it's embarrassing. Don't.
It's reflective of so many aspects of our gutter culture. I mean, AOC. It's one thing when you're some sort of ideologue who comes out of the Ivy League and you actually have the ability to, I don't know, read and write. I mean, AOC is virtually illiterate. Jamal Bowman is, in terms of what he's presented during his brief time in Congress, strikes me as about the same. Mm-hmm. They use volume in lieu of substance and sloganeering with this sort of put upon hood
rat
tonality. It's just gutter culture. But anyway, my favorite moment is not even that. My favorite Jamal Bowman moment was, and Thomas Massey tweeted about it, Kentucky Congressman Tom Massey, when they had a little impromptu conversation, as Tom Massey sarcastically called it, about guns, while because Jamal Bowman was screaming to no one in particular in the halls of Congress at the Capitol, just screaming about guns. I think this was in the wake of the Covenant School shooting. And Massey, heard and saw him, as everybody did. And it was interesting. If you watch the video, people are just milling about and going past him because this is what you've come to expect from Jamal Bowman. So, Jamal Bowman's yelling into the ether again. So anyway, so he's ranting about guns and banning them. And then Thomas Massey comes up and says, did you know this and did you know that? And, of course, Bowman just gets up in his grill and continues screaming because that's all he can do. It's all he knows how to do.
Children at all. Cowards. Pressure them. Force them to respond to the question, why the hell won't you do anything to save America's children? And let them explain that all the way up until Election Day on 2024. Let them explain it all the way up to Election Day on 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. They're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
There's never been
I'm talking about gun violence.
in a school that allows teachers to carry.
Carry guns? More guns lead to more death. More guns lead to more death. Look at the data. You're not looking at any data. You're carrying the one from the gun lobby. Look at the data. More guns lead to more deaths. States that have open carry laws have more death. States that have open carry laws have more death.
See, all they have is their pre-approved talking points, and the only ability they have in response to pushback is to deliver them with more volume. Even some of his colleagues in the House, like Richie Torres, said Jamal Bowman's greatest problem is Jamal Bowman. AIPAC did not illegally pull a firearm. AIPAC did not deny the Hamas rapes against Israeli women. Jamal Bowman did. Yeah. By the way, the guy who replaced him, don't get your hopes up. I mean, George Latimer is a leftist, but he's just one that comes to the table with a room temperature demeanor, as the Wall Street Journal opined. Getting rid of Bowman was sort of an act of political hygiene, but nothing more than that.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, we found out more about the man who attempted to kill Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx with a big gulp after he was arraigned yesterday, 5:38.
And to meet a 16-year-old who was very busy bouncing from court to court for various crimes. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 5:29 on AM 560, The Answer. And one traffic note to start our news this morning. As you travel on the inbound side of the Eisenhower, it's completely shut down due to a bad accident from earlier in the morning. Inbound, you are diverted off the roadway at Cicero. You're back on at Costner. President Biden is announcing plans to pardon veterans convicted by the military under a law that previously banned gay sex. The pardons are expected to impact only about 2,000. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange pleading guilty to conspiracy charges. This week, it was announced Assange reached a plea deal with the Justice Department that would see him go free after spending 5 years in a British prison. On Tuesday, Assange followed through with the deal, pleading guilty to one felony count. The Oklahoma Supreme Court is blocking what would have been the nation's first publicly funded religious charter school. In a 6-2 decision, the Oklahoma Supreme Court ruled the state's contract with St. Isidore of Seville Catholic Virtual School is unconstitutional. Justice James Winchester saying the charter school is a public school under Oklahoma law and must be non-sectarian. Ford is recalling 552,000 pickup trucks over a major transmission issue. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says the problem with the trucks, it's a sudden downshift into first gear, increasing your risk of crash. A 16-year-old charged with murder of a retired Chicago police officer last week will remain in custody. Lazarius Watt was ordered detained yesterday. The teen was identified in video surveillance by 4 witnesses who knew him from the neighborhood. 2 new taxpayer-funded shelters are beginning to serve illegal migrants in Chicago. The Pritzker administration plan will have one located near Midway Airport, the other in Hyde Park. Cassie Almeida fought to reopen the Gage Park Fieldhouse after it was taken over by shelter advocates.
We 24/7 being on the trees here outside, having sex in the park in front of kids and everything. I think it's a huge mistake of him trying to open more shelters.
The Hyde Park shelter is a former hotel that was previously used to quarantine new arrivals with measles. State Representative Adam Niemerg this morning says once again the Pritzker administration is putting citizens last.
If this was about compassion and humanity, they wouldn't be doing this, because we're putting Illinois citizens last. We're putting folks, veterans, homeless, folks in the inner cities that are struggling to make a living, trying to pay grocery bills, get to work every day. We're putting them last.
Construction of the Midway shelter is underway at a former hotel on the southwest side. The Highland Park parade shooting suspect is expected to change his plea today in Lake County Court. The criminal prosecution of Robert Cremo III could come to an end if he pleads guilty to some or all felony counts against him. A trio of greystones near Wrigley Field that predate the ballpark moved one step closer to demolition Tuesday. A city council committee approving plans to tear down the buildings in the 3600 block of North Sheffield, replacing them with a single 29-unit, 5-story complex. And a Chicago woman is filing a complaint against a suburban staffing agency, alleging discrimination after hearing what was left in a voicemail for her. Ashley Chapman is a single mother of 2 who recently moved back home to Chicago after living in North Dakota.
I thought I can just get a job fast, through a staffing agency because they push you to work right away.
She looked for a quick job with the help of that staffing agency in Elgin, and according to her attorney, left this voicemail in question.
Your baby daddy is married, and apparently you've had some unprotected sex.
That callback was just one of many derogatory statements made after the agency failed to disconnect their phone after leaving that voicemail.
When women are held to a different standard, when an employer looks to see whether that person has kids and whether that person is married to the father of their kids, we think that crosses the line.
Chapman and her attorney, David Fish, have filed a formal charge of discrimination with the Illinois Department of Human Rights, a prerequisite for any potential lawsuit. Cubs lost to the Giants 5-1. The White Sox lost to the Dodgers 4-3, and the Bulls picked number 11 overall in the NBA draft tonight. The news, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather's on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees good numbers for Trump.
The Real Clear Politics average of polling says it may even be a landslide. And I don't know if we dare use the L word this far out, but my gosh, because everything is pointing towards a Trump victory if Joe Biden is his opponent.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, it's Sean Thompson here. You know when you're at the mall and you go to those directory signs, the one that says you are here? Well, imagine that directory is a map of your preparation for retirement. Would you know where you are? My friend Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group is offering you the opportunity to not only find yourself on that map, but also find the route toward a successful retirement. He calls it his retirement roadmap. You'll get an analysis of where you are right now, whether you're at risk if the market drops again, whether you're taking advantage of the latest tax changes, and much, much more. To get an idea where you stand on the road to retirement, call my friend Tom Fortino at the Alpha Wealth Group today at 630-934-1855. That's 630-934-1855. And ask for the retirement roadmap, or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And don't forget to listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560, The Answer at 9 a.m.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Our communities deserve to have their tax dollars spent efficiently. All over Chicagoland, there is an increased need for vital projects like wetland improvements, enhancing water quality, or stormwater mitigation to protect homes against devastating floods. Too often, public officials find themselves at the mercy of outside advisors when planning, budgeting, and building these projects. And let's face it, they rarely meet deadlines or budgets, leaving our communities vulnerable. There's a better way forward. Control Point Engineering. At Control Point Engineering, we're more than just civil engineers. We're champions of quality and efficiency with over 40 years of hands-on experience. Teaming up with Earthworks Land Development, we're breaking down barriers and streamlining processes. Say goodbye to disjointed partnerships and hello to seamless collaboration. From conceptualization to construction, Control Point Engineering delivers everything you need in one unified package, saving you time and money. Visit ControlPointLLC.com today to learn about our successful projects all across Chicagoland. Again, that's ControlPointLLC.com.
Is your IRS tax debt making you feel anxious? The professionals at Allies Tax Relief are ready to negotiate your fresh start. Call them now, 800-230-5174.
5:38. Let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And again, our big story this morning, Eisenhower. Inbound shut down completely at Cicero. You're back on at Costner after an earlier accident around 3 a.m. Stevenson already heavy and slow between Harlem and Kedzie, 30 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Tri-State accident, left lane block northbound between I-80 and the 163rd toll. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Thunderstorm in spots this morning. Otherwise, clouds and sun, high 85 tonight, clear, and a low of 62. 74 at O'Hare, 76 Midway. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So we talked about it on Monday because on Friday, Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx was out for her, usual 10:30 a.m. walk around Flossmoor.
Isn't she supposed to be at work then? Oh, she works from home.
She has her 10:30 a.m. walk
Yeah.
in Flossmoor, so she can't be everywhere. She can't do everything. She needs time for herself. So she's walking around Flossmoor, and apparently she's walking in the middle of the road, or at least close enough to the middle of the road that a guy pulls up and says,
"Whoa, bitch, get out the way, bitch."
And
yo, bitch, get out the way, get out the way.
Yeah, she didn't take too kindly. She gave him the Milwaukee skyline.
Well,
she flipped him the bird.
He drove on, and then saw that in the rearview mirror, so he saw the salute, and then he reversed course. He happened to have a big gulp in his possession, apparently, and
what was in the big gulp?
I mean, I guess from Kim Foxx's supposition, it was root beer.
Yeah, because some of it landed in her mouth.
Right, when he threw it on her. Well, he was arraigned yesterday, and it turns out, I'm surprised, he's the sidekick from, Tim Allen's sidekick from Home Improvement, Richard Karn. I've just seen the picture. I haven't seen the name, but
well,
what happened to Richard Karn? He was so funny. Al Borland, remember, he seemed so congenial, and now he's, roaming the streets of Flossmoor and throwing big gulps on people.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. So he was called back to court yesterday and was put on electronic monitoring. Okay. Because according to Kim Foxx, she said that he drove by her house Sunday afternoon. And she brought videos. Well, not she, but the attorneys from her.
Well, he lives in
Flossmoor. That's the thing. That's what nobody said that.
He didn't know. He didn't know who she was.
He didn't know who he was.
He thought he thought. I'm sure he thought it was just another vagrant roaming around Flossmoor.
I mean, so she caught him on surveillance video driving past her home. So what? He must live in the neighborhood.
His actual name is William Sweats. I don't want to be sued for defamation by Richard Karn.
Thank you.
He is charged with assault with a deadly weapon and battery in a public place, 2 felonies. Probably served life in prison, and deservedly so. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Gosh, I hope the electronic monitoring works better on him than it did on that 60-year-old who killed a retired cop.
Yeah, oh my God. I mean, and this all is happening on the same day. But I just want to say this about this case. Wouldn't they be considered mutual combatants if he tells her, get out of the way, B, and then she flips him the bird? And isn't that a mutual combatant? Because remember Denise Huglet, the special education teacher, she was shot and killed while she was driving her car home from the White Sox game. The bullet went through the car and struck her while she was in the car. And Kim Foxx refused to charge the killers and declared them mutual combatants.
No, that was not a mutual combatant case. No. That was not the mutual combatant case.
There was one of many. There's many mutual combatant cases.
Well,
the shootout at the house, the shootout.
The shootout at the house. That was the infamous mutual combatant case. A woman in a passenger seat in a car who gets struck by a stray bullet. How is she a mutual combatant? That wasn't a mutual combatant case. No.
Well, you also didn't think the guy that dumped the pop on her was white. I'm like, what if he's white? What if they elevate these to hate crime charges because he's white and she's black?
Well, they didn't.
They didn't, but That doesn't mean that they can't in the future.
I suppose. I mean, obviously he deserves to. The big gulp is a deadly weapon. No, I know the the battery, assault with a deadly weapon, battery in a public place. The assault with a deadly weapon is not the big gulp.
No, it's the car.
I get it, but I like to think it's the big gulp. I mean, because as we talked about, I mean, who needs 32 or 64 fluid ounces of brown liquid?
Exactly. I think they're getting a little greedy. Is that good for the environment, Dan? Is that good for your body? Huh?
This William Sweats guy, Kim Fox. I want Kim Fox to feel safe in her home. I want her to have a productive home where her husband isn't just wasting time playing video games, and I want her to be able to ambulate around Flossmoor, maybe even Olympia Fields, without incident.
Okay.
And
we all want
William Sweats is a threat to the public. He's a menace to society.
It's so sick that they have him, and he's a law-abiding citizen, no priors.
Who was?
Well, before this, William Sweats,
Oh.
compared to the 16-year-old who simultaneously was in court, who has 8 priors, was on home confinement when he murdered the very well-loved, and I mean well-loved, bomb technician for Chicago Police Department. He was also a part-time pastor, Larry Newman.
Yeah.
So he was at court, and then they had to transport him to juvie court for a carjacking. See, he carjacked somebody, then was going 120 miles per hour down the Eisenhower, and they pulled him over, and they found a gun in the floorboard of the vehicle, and he was still on home confinement. Why not do the same for Williams, who he's not even possessing a possession of a weapon?
Why not do what? He's on electronic monitoring. He's not in custody.
I know.
What do you want him to do?
There's just different rules for different people. And if that happened to anybody on my street or your street or anybody's street that's listening out there, the cops would never even have shown up. We had to wait an hour 45 for a carjacking report to be filed. I mean, cops wouldn't even show up. But
we're
it's
talking
Kim
about
Fox.
Kim Fox. Kim Fox had her life flash before her eyes when that brown liquid was coming in her direction. And the other thing, too, is you're not allowed to humiliate a public official. Now, obviously, I know that you're also not allowed to threaten. You're not allowed to throw drinks on people. I get it. But, I mean, the real crime here is, well, there's two. One, you didn't know who Kim Fox was. And you have to know who your betters are so that you can be properly deferential to them. And two, you can't humiliate your betters. That's what he's done here. And he has to be made an example of.
He might lose his job. That was according to the public defender.
What's his job?
I don't know. They didn't say. But I don't think his boss should fire him. I mean, he can go to work with the electronic monitor on.
Probably works in the Cook County State's Attorney's office, and she doesn't even know it. Marcus in Chicago Heights, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, sir. Flossmoor, Illinois used to be a really nice little place.
Oh, yeah.
I heard.
And, I'm from Chicago Heights, and, it used to be isolated, but there was a little place down there called Aurelio's Pizza.
Yeah.
Nice little place, man. Nice little pizza place, man.
Technically in Homewood, though.
Made me throw back.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm very south side.
So
I'm very, very Southland. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that little area, man. And well, anyway, I just wanted to call in and say good morning. And it used to be nice. Let's get it back that way.
All right. Well, Williams, it's gonna be it's gonna be back that way soon because William Sweats is almost off the streets. He's got an ankle monitor at least.
And I think he's going to respect the ankle monitor.
Well, let's hope. I don't know where he had to be in such a hurry.
They're a mutual combat, man. She was.
How is it a mutual combat? What are you talking about?
Because he says, get out of the way, and then she flips him the bird. That's an invitation to, you want a piece of me?
Flipping someone off is not a crime.
No, I know, but it's an invitation to let's go. In my world.
Yeah.
In the mean streets of Mount Prospect.
Yeah,
that's
right.
What,
that was a throwdown. And then somebody throws a big gulp,
Yeah.
and then it's a shootout.
Yeah.
You're just as stages of escalation. Okay.
Well, then you start with fists, then knives, then guns.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Clay in Libertyville.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Kim Fox is worth less than $1,000. Why do they care about this crime perpetrated against her?
Hi-oh.
Hey, Dan, anytime you want to go play Flossmore, let me know.
Oh, you have. I mean, Clay. I'm a man of some stature in the community, so I can play Flossmore. But
But you have to go in disguise.
no. I
played
actually
Flossmore.
Flossmore's a great track. It's a really good track. I like what the brothers that bought the place are doing there. So you play there a lot? Like who do you know there?
I actually know the head groundskeeper.
Oh, okay. Well, we may know the same members or something. I don't know. All right, go ahead.
I grew up with his son. I actually invited his son to Cigars and Conversation Night with you and Prager a little while back. So anytime you want to get out there.
No, let's play. I'd rather play on your dime than Chris Morrow's, my friend from Home State Bank, Chris, because then I owe him like a make good at Old Florida.
Oh.
So I'd rather maybe Clay can have
a whole subculture.
Yeah,
like,
Clay can have both me. Can you have me and Chris Morrow out and some of my friends from Olympia?
I think I could get you both out there with me and my friend.
All right, Clay.
Oh, it sounds like a lovely foursome.
All right, we're gonna. What's your
When's our tea time?
What's your index, Clay?
Oh shoot! Right now, probably maybe closer to a 9. My buddy's probably like a 5. But yeah, we can get you out there.
All right. That's a pretty. Actually, you and your buddy against me and Morrow. We'll play a little Scotch game.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like $25 a point.
Sure. Whatever
gambling.
to invoke the great Michael Jordan. Whatever makes you nervous, Clay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Clay. I appreciate it. Appreciate the invite. That's what Jordan says.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right,
I
it
forgot
is good.
about that.
How about just playing with you makes me nervous? How
Just
about
looking at you.
that? George in Naperville.
Dan, maybe that poor man was halfway through his drink waiting for her to get past his car. Maybe she seems the type that would be walking extra slow.
I can't stand slow
she's
walkers.
Just inviting it. That's more of the mutual combatant theory.
Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
you have to agree with me. When you're sitting at a stop sign and someone's walking like this, I like move. And whenever
What if they move their arms but not their feet fast? What if they do the pretend to walk
Billy,
fast?
What was his name? Oh my gosh, in Sleepless in Seattle when he'd power walk. Billy Crystal. Anyway,
Yeah.
But if I'm at a stop sign or a car stop, I walk a little faster, just to show you're just. But I hate when people lolly or they're on their phone.
I don't think Kim Fox is the kind of person that would taunt somebody who's trying to get somewhere. I just don't think that's in her character. But here's what I do think. I think that since Kim Fox has this set 10:30 a.m. walk, there should be signage put up in Flossmoor that this is a Kim Fox crossing. Just Kim Fox crossing signs, and I think that a lot of maybe painted crosswalks, so a lot of this could be avoided. Sean, Northwest Side.
Hey, good morning, guys. No one's mentioned yet if this guy had any MAGA stickers on his truck or Trump stickers.
Oh, they'll associate him to a right-wing nut job.
And secondly, I got a sign-up sheet
Flossmoor
going
is
around.
MAGA country, yeah.
Got a sign-up sheet going around. If anybody wants to sign up and serve time instead of Ed Burke and put their house up for collateral for his bail.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, to all those character references of Ed Burke, if they would want to. Yeah, right. Fall on a sword for him a little bit harder. Thanks for the call, Sean.
I did call the
GoFundMe.
public.
Send Go for Ed Burke raise the $2 million for the fine he has to pay, so it doesn't have to come out of his pocket or his campaign fund.
Right, yeah, Marion Ahern did a story yesterday. They're worth $30 million that they know of.
Yeah, that's
and
that's
the $2
low.
million is coming from his campaign donations.
That's what I told you.
Right?
happened.
No, you're right. Well, the $4 million also for the lawyer, but the $2 million.
Well, sure.
Determined.
And there's a little left over to sprinkle the infield. Isn't that nice?
I'll just give to the poor and downtrodden.
Yeah, Ed Burke.
Ed Burke.
The wrongly convicted. Aaron in Munster, Indiana.
Hey, good morning. I was going to say, I think a felony charge is appropriate here because if that was a big gulp slushy, she could be suffering from brain freeze or any type of other ailment.
Yeah, lasting impacts. That's right. That's very good. I suppose the charges could always be upgraded if there is evidence, if she provides testimony. Maybe it's in the police report. I haven't seen it. that she suffered from a brain freeze because of the amount of, the cold liquid that washed over her.
He's going to be back in court July 19th.
He better be.
I hope he doesn't lose his job.
At the Cook County State's Attorney's Office?
He doesn't work at the Cook County State's Attorney's Office.
They wouldn't know. Joe in Arlington Heights.
Good morning. The car versus pedestrian behavior lately, to me, is one of the great signs of the collapse of civilization.
Yep.
Was she just walking down the street instead of the sidewalk, which is annoying? These 2-3 women at a time in Arlington Heights, they're not running. They're not on the sidewalk. They're walking side by side down the street. This really is a problem.
No, I agree.
Well, the reason there's a sidewalk is for that.
Excellent point, Joe.
We built them a sidewalk for that. So don't walk on the road if we all, with our tax dollars, built you a sidewalk.
I mean, there's some roads. I mean, I don't know exactly where she is in Flossmoor, but there's some roads that don't have sidewalks, like the road that you enter in Country Club Drive in Olympia Fields.
Oh my God, you and your country, yes.
Well, I'm just giving you an example. It doesn't have.
Where do the plebeians go?
It doesn't have a sidewalk.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're walking on the side of the street for the people that live there. Okay, fine. But so I don't know, but I have seen what Joe's talking about, and it's about as annoying as all those Lance Armstrongs on their 10 speeds roaming around in packs like jackals. I actually
Those are
think
called triathletes.
Right. That's what they're called. Yeah, they're called triathletes. Yeah, I don't know a lot of triathletes that are tip of the scales at 260, but sure, okay. But that actually is more provocative, and I'm willing to entertain Amy's mutual combatant theory.
Thank you.
If she was walking in the middle of the road and there was a sidewalk available, if there was a sidewalk available,
the worst of all are the ones that walk towards the middle and challenge you.
Yeah.
To wait for them or go around them.
Yeah.
They defy you.
Yeah.
And then you want to rev up your engine, put it in neutral.
That's felonious behavior. That's felonious behavior.
Thanks for the call, Joe. I agree with that.
I'm glad you're good at my mutual combatant.
I'm thinking too. Maybe there's a Christine theory that Joe could use. That it wasn't him. It was the car. Oh yeah. He wasn't in control of the car. Right. The car is. It's like a Stephen King
Get
thing.
out of the way.
Yeah, he was saying he was.
Play that drop again.
What he was trying to say is when he said "get out the way, bitch." He was trying to say I'm not in control of the car. He was trying to save Kim Fox. Don't you know? It's one theory. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Always good talking to you. Question for you. Maybe Brandon Johnson will have an ordinance banning the gulps. Let's flash back to 2013 in New York City when then Mayor Bloomberg tried to get the gulps banned.
Oh, that's true. Right. It's too excessive.
For health reasons. Although I have to inform you, Bob, that BLM Brandon is not in control of Flossmoor. That's a suburb. That's not part of the city.
Oh, Well, Second City cop tweeted out a picture of a big gulp.
Yeah, I saw it.
I know. Is in Illinois, purchasing one of these will now require a 3-day waiting period and a background check.
Yeah, it's a little late to the dance. I tweeted something akin to that on Monday.
Oh, sorry.
So it's a little.
Maybe you can discuss it while you go to your country.
I like Second City Cop, but it was a little reductive of my posts on X. So please.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
That's some good stuff, I'll tell you. It really works.
I'm just really pleased with your product. I've been using it now for 3 years.
I've been taking it for a while now. I feel better. I live on the balance of nature. I plan on taking it forever.
I've been a very happy customer. I like the product, and I'm telling a lot of people about it.
Splash into your summer with Balance of Nature's summer savings. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't miss out. This offer is only available while supplies last. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code Chicago.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Brandon Tatum weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, followed by Charlie Kirk at 7. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
House Republicans rallied to the defense of Steve Bannon, trying to prevent him from going to the clink, and we'll do a little bit more debate prep in advance of Thursday night's first meeting of this election cycle. That's all at 6:06.
And another small victory for Trump, we'll explain. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
2 new state-supported migrant shelters, and the Bulls pick at number 11. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
A profane progressive loses, a controversial conservative wins. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. In New York, Congressman Jamal Bowman, who accused Israel of genocide in Gaza, primaried out by a pro-Israel centrist Democrat in the most expensive House primary race ever.
We should be outraged when a super PAC of dark money can spend $20 million to brainwash people into believing something that isn't true.
Bowman also apologized for using foul language at a weekend rally. He lost to George Latimer by 17 points. In Colorado, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert beat her challengers in a Republican primary as she switches districts.
God has given us a weapon, and that weapon is what gives us our strength. That weapon is called joy.
In Utah, Congressman John Curtis beat a Trump-backed challenger in the Republican race to replace retiring GOP Senator Mitt Romney. We'll get a Supreme Court ruling or two this morning, maybe more. One of the cases left to decide this term, the Trump appeal to the 2020 election-related federal case, claiming he should be immune from prosecution for actions taken while president. Evan Gershkovich's trial started today in Russia, where the American journalist was put in a glass cage, his head shaven. Gershkovich is accused of being a spy. The U.S. denies that. Wall Street Journal assistant editor Paul Beckett tells the Fox News Rundown podcast.
Evan did nothing wrong. He's a fantastic reporter. He continues to be a fantastic reporter. He was out doing the job we asked him to do. The piece of this that is just such nonsense is the idea that it was in any way connected to espionage.
The next hearing, Gershkovich's case set for August 13th. Julian Assange, back in his homeland, cheered after landing in Australia after the WikiLeaks founder was set free by a judge in a U.S. court in the Northern Mariana Islands, American territory, accepting an Assange plea deal to an espionage charge. America's listening to Fox News.
73 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Our top story is a traffic-related incident. Inbound Eisenhower remains completely shut down at Cicero. Traffic diverted off there. You're back on again at Costner after a much earlier 3-vehicle accident with 3 badly hurt. A man from the west suburbs has died after being swept away by floodwaters in Iowa Saturday. William Schultze of Elburn tried to cross the Little Sioux River in his Ford pickup when he was swept away by the current. According to the Clay County Sheriff, he was in Iowa at a tractor show. 2 were shot near a McDonald's in the Austin neighborhood late Tuesday night. Chicago police say it happened around 10:45 in the 5100 block of West North Avenue. A 25-year-old and a 26-year-old were shot, then transported to Mount Sinai Hospital. 2 new state-funded shelters are beginning to serve illegal migrants in Chicago. The Pritzker administration plan will have one located near Midway Airport, the other near Hyde Park. Cassie Almeida fought to reopen the Gage Park Fieldhouse after it was taken over by shelter advocates and says it is another bad idea from the governor.
We 24/7 being on the trees here outside, having sex in the park in front of kids and everything. I think it's a huge mistake of him trying to open more shelters.
Construction of the Midway shelter is underway at a former hotel there. The Highland Park parade shooting suspect is expected to change his plea today in Lake County Court. The criminal prosecution of Robert Cremo III could come to an end. Cremo previously pled not guilty. He's accused in the killing of 7 and wounding of dozens more in Highland Park in July of 2022. Cubs lost to the Giants 5-1. White Sox fell to the Dodgers at guaranteed rate 4-3, and the Bulls pick at number 11 overall in the draft tonight. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally, cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online, papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Tomorrow night, it's the rematch of the century as Joe Biden and Donald Trump share the debate stage for the first time since 2020, and the whole world will be watching. Don't miss a second of AM 560's coverage, beginning with the Sean Thompson Show at 4, followed by pre-debate coverage with Mike Gallagher, Hugh Hewitt, and Sebastian Gorka at 7. And then hear Fox News coverage of the CNN presidential debate, beginning at 8 tomorrow night, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
You know, since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been committed to supporting our nation's first responders and veterans. They support America's heroes like U.S. Army Major Jonathan Turnbull. Now, Major Turnbull sustained devastating injuries at the hands of an ISIS suicide bomber. Tunnel to Towers gave him a specially adapted smart home designed for his needs. Join Tunnel to Towers. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month so this great work continues. Their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I've been watching it on TV, and then my soul has my husband, and I guess he just called up and surprised me. He had ordered it, and I didn't expect it for me to notice it so right away. I kind of shocked my husband when I told him. I've been taking it like a little over a week. I'm taking it, and then I can already notice a difference. I do feel very good. I can't even put it into words. I feel really good every day. I don't wake up grouchy. I love everybody to think it. I think it's wonderful.
Splash into your summer with Balance of Nature's summer savings. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first set. Don't miss out. This offer is only available while supplies last. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code Chicago.
6:07, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, 40 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. A struggle on the inbound Ike because of the traffic being diverted off at Cicero because of a much earlier accident. Around 3:30 this morning where 3 people were injured. You're diverted off at Cicero. You can get back on at Costner. Tri-State, slow traffic on the ramp to the outbound Eisenhower has things backed up on 294 northbound. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast in the AM 560 Weather Center. Here's Steve Williams.
A thunderstorm in spots for us this morning, otherwise a breezy day. Clouds and sun, high 85. Clear tonight, low 62. Sunny, less humidity tomorrow, the high 74. Clouds, shower, and a thunderstorm on Friday, a high at 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
74 at O'Hare, 76 at Midway. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Just a postscript from our conversation about Kim Fox and William Sweats and the great big gulp attack. We got an email from Mindy. The business who sold the assailant the big gulp should be shut down. The assailant was obviously overserved, probably a sugar high. Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, pretty good.
Plot thickens, yes.
I like that. You know, we're still gathering intel on that whole
Yes.
incident. A lot of novel theories about that perhaps could be mitigating circumstances for William Sweats and avoid a life sentence.
Well, I mean, the fact that he's on electronic monitoring, give me a break, because he drove by her house when I'm sure he lives in the neighborhood and that wasn't brought up in court. Where was his public defender defending him?
He's going to may have to upgrade his legal counsel to you, your
Your
mutual
Honor,
combatant theory.
Object.
Yeah, right.
These were mutual combatants.
Uh-huh.
But again, where we're from, you flip somebody off, that's an invitation to fight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, where you're from. Right.
These damn parts, sir.
Did want to get to this. It's a rather ancillary issue, but it speaks to sort of the larger lawfare culture that the Democrats have brought to bear. And I'm talking about Steve Bannon fighting his June 30th report date to turn himself in to serve his 4-month prison sentence for refusing to comply with a subpoena issued by the Star Chamber that was the Jan 6 committee. Well, House Republicans have now intervened on his behalf, and frankly on behalf of Peter Navarro, who is serving his sentence for doing the same. Matt Gaetz explained the process on a podcast recently.
I believe the only way Steve Bannon does not go to jail is if there is a vote at an entity called the BLAG, the Bipartisan Legal Advisory Group. It is made up of the Speaker of the House, the Majority Leader, the Majority Whip, the Minority Leader, and the Minority Whip. So the Republicans hold a 3-2 in this. Bannon is going to petition for an en banc review of this determination to revoke his bail. When he does, I believe the BLAG should and will take a 3-2 vote for the House to seek leave to file an amicus brief with the en banc court that the January 6th committee was illegitimate. It was illegitimately formed. It was a runaway committee. It did not have a proper minority member. And whether it's Peter Navarro or Steve Bannon, nobody should be sitting in a jail cell because they would not comply with the absurd musings of a committee unlike any before in our nation's history.
You say amicus, I say amicus, but potato. The blog is not to be confused with the blogo.
Okay.
The blog,
Like
Bipartisan
blog is
Legal
taken,
Advisory
but okay.
Group.
All right, bipartisan.
And that's what Matt Gaetz was previewing is exactly what happened last night. The Bipartisan Legal Advisory Group voted 3-2, confirming the official legal position of the House is that the J6 committee was illegitimate, and thus all subpoenas issued by the committee were also illegitimate. So any punishment for not complying with an illegitimate subpoena is also illegitimate. And no less than House Speaker Mike Johnson went on with Klingon Collins over at CNN to explain this to her and the handful of people that still watch CNN.
Yeah, I can confirm that. We'll be filing a brief in that legal proceeding. We think that's really important to do. We think the previous statement of the House under Speaker Pelosi was incorrect. We do not believe the January 6th special committee was properly constituted. We don't think it followed the House rules. And now we're finding under our own investigation that they may have in fact covered up some evidence. That's a great concern to a lot of people. You'll see a lengthy report come out on that. But in the meantime, when they're using that to prosecute people, we think it's important for the House's position to be known, the current House, and that is that we don't believe that that was a proper committee, properly constituted, that did appropriate work. The court should take that into consideration, and I think we have an obligation to make that position known.
And so now they have 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can like or not like Steve Bannon, and in fact, if you don't like him, it makes this move that much more important because you're supposed to be particularly concerned about protecting the rights of interests of people you don't like. That's the basis of a real justice system, so that it's not based on personal preference or likability. Yeah, it's important that House Republicans are taking this up. It's because not just to prevent Bannon from having to serve an illegitimate 4-month prison sentence, but for reminding people in advance of the decisions they make this fall, that Jan 6 committee was in fact a star chamber. It was illegitimate. They cooked the review of Jan 6 effectively, as we're learning more and more with each passing day. And more Americans need to understand that there was general denunciation, including on this show, of people who engaged in violence and illegal activity. Mm-hmm. There was no suggestion that people who engaged in violence or illegal activity shouldn't be prosecuted. They should be held to account under the law. But that this whole insurrection narrative that was further codified by this Star Chamber Jan 6 committee is completely without foundation, is baseless, is invented, the conspiracy to overthrow the government, the insurrection, that Trump inspired and or led the insurrection in some material way. And this is one way to sort of subtly educate the American public without having to, be so on the nose about it in terms of taking this up, sort of out of left field. Well, I'm worried about inflation, and the Republicans are talking about J6. We're talking about J6, and we're talking about what the illegitimacy of that committee, because you have a man in prison who shouldn't be in prison. You have a man that's pending having to report to serve a prison sentence that shouldn't be doing so, and you should care about that. And you should care about it even more if you don't like them, even more to the point of the message to those who are center left, but possibly reasonable. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Brian in St. John, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. I actually like Steve Bannon a lot, and I like the team he has over at War Room. But if what you're saying is true, which it sounds like it is with the things that Matt Gaetz suggested, why did it take two or 3 years for them to, start pushing the envelope to make this move in a committee? Because we all know it was a sham committee from the beginning. Why did it take Republicans 2 to 3 years to, go this route?
Well, first of all, they didn't. Thanks for the call, Brian. They didn't have the votes until they had the House. That's number one. The bipartisan legislative, the bipartisan legislative advisory group. So they didn't have a 3-2 majority until they had the House. And so why did it take from January of 23 till now? Well, because I'm not saying it needed to take the last year and a half, but you have to go through your own process and gather your own evidence, and so that you can present, look, we did our due diligence, and this is now the position that we've come to and determined. And of course, there was, I'm sure, a lot of gnashing back and forth within the caucus about whether or not the caucus should do this. Does it make political sense? Why are we for surrender Republicans? Why are we going to flack for Steve Bannon? He's a bomb thrower and a lightning rod, and so on and so forth. It's too MAGA-centric. So I'm sure there was that political component to it as well. And if there was, which I suspect there was, then more power to Mike Johnson and House Republicans for doing what they're doing, when the moment has arrived. It's sort of a Parkinson's law thing too. You use up the allotted time, even if you could have gotten the job done in much less than the allotted time. So I think that's what's going on here. So this will be interesting, too, because this is going to be part of the conversation on Thursday night, for sure. Biden will come at Trump from a lot of different angles with respect to Jan 6th, then talk about the people that have been indicted, talk about the people that have been sent to prison from 2016 forward. And
they're going to call him an insurrectionist. Well, not they. Biden's going to call Trump an insurrectionist, I'm sure, because Biden's not debating. Trump's not just debating Biden. He's also debating Jake Tapper and Dana Bash.
Yeah, right. So
all three are going to be coming after him.
So you tried to sack the Capitol. You're an election denier. You have all these corrupt people around you. You're now a convicted felon too. I mean, so that's the whole narrative. He's a bad. What did Mitch Landrieu say over the weekend? He's going to be better at being bad in his second term. So that's what they need to focus on, and because they can't make it a referendum on Joe Biden and the last 4 years because. The last 4 years have been a catastrophe, which is why Biden's numbers are where they are, which is why they're fighting for their life and why they thought that a polarizing Trump was the only chance they had to win re-election. And they may be right, particularly if Trump plays into their hands when it comes to the back and forth about conspiracy theories and name calling and grievances. Trump gets into relitigating the 2020 election, for example. That's a mistake.
Well, how should he handle it? I mean, they'll say, do you accept the results of the 2020 election?
I said, look, the point here is, do I accept the results? Did I vacate the White House? That guy on the other side of the stage is the president. He has been since January 20th of 2021. Didn't you know that? Maybe Joe doesn't know that. I think everybody else does. So yeah, of course. But and my concern, which remains my concern, is about the free and fair administration of elections and ballot integrity and rules of the game. It's the same. And I think you use this as an example of what I'm talking about generally, that are different rules for different people based on their political beliefs. There's a different legal regime that people with different political beliefs have to live under these leftists, these men and women of the left, and it's wrong and it's un-American. That's what I'm talking about. And again, I'm talking about it less so for me because I can take it, and more so for everyday Americans who are not as fortunate as I am to be able to go toe-to-toe with the powers that be in D.C. and in Manhattan and everywhere else. That's the way I think you handle it. John in Portage Park.
Good morning. I just want to know if you saw the Babylon Bee where the Trump went to the local retirement place to prep for debate with Joe Biden.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that, John. Thanks for that.
And I mean, you'd mentioned yesterday that, they had built a debate set, but they actually, according to the New York Times, they have a reporter in there. They said it's a movie theater and an airplane hangar that have been outfitted with lights, production equipment to create a mock debate stage.
Yeah.
And that at 9:00 at night, they start the hour and a half. So he's 7 days to prepare for 90 minutes. That's a bad sign. Don't you? And he's not even he just walk away from his job. What is he, Kim Foxing? Just walk away from your job for 7 days to prepare for that?
Yeah, I mean, walk away from his job. What does he really do?
Right. Well, that's the thing. But if he spent that time solving the immigration problem, maybe meeting with Lake and Riley's.
Solve it. Why? He's not going to do any of that.
I know, but just calling the parents of kids that were killed by illegals.
Here's all the things that Biden could do that he won't. Well, then why are we bothering to talk about it?
Going to L.A. and joining with the Jewish people, say, walk into your synagogue.
Exactly.
Be free.
If only Brandon Johnson would promote tax credit scholarships. If only he would provide property tax relief. If only J.B. Pritzker would make Illinois more business friendly. Would stop focusing on abortion on demand, all 9 months taxpayer funded. Right. If only these people were 180 degrees different than they are, boy, wouldn't that be great? Well, they're not. So now let's get back to reality.
Okay.
And let's not worry about Joe Biden on the mock debate stage, and let's talk about what Trump should be doing. Not to mention, since Trump said his VP will be there with him on Thursday night, and I'm sure there will be multiple VP finalists, so you still won't know. It won't give you any more indication. I thought it was interesting that the Journal came down for Burgum if the finalists are Burgum, Rubio, and Vance. They write about Doug Burgum, who's a complete unknown to most of the country, including most Republicans. The governor, meaning North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, has executive experience and was a highly successful CEO. At Microsoft, he managed to work with Steve Ballmer, which isn't easy. That's interesting. Because Microsoft bought Burgum's company. Burgum would be loyal to Trump while also unafraid to offer hard advice or speak an unhappy truth when the moment demands it. His global business experience gives him an edge in world affairs, especially China. And they argue that Vance and Rubio bring much less to the ticket. That's really interesting. I mean, because the one issue I had with Burgum, and I don't know well, so the one issue that's obvious to me so far as I've come to understand a little bit about him, including seeing him briefly on the debate stages in the primary when he was running, is, he's 70 years old.
I know he's not the future.
So this is a legacy pick, isn't it? Isn't the VP this time for Trump a legacy pick? Who do you want to turn the reins over to in 4 years to extend the policy agenda? But who were we talking to last week? That was it Harsanyi? I think it was David Harsanyi that said, "Well, there's another way to." He was essentially said, "There's another way to conceive this. That you want a top lieutenant, you want a loyalist." You don't want people talking about the 2028 race and the future of the party under Trump's VP selection, arguing about that. You want basically it to be Trump and, say, Burgum, and they're going to run the next 4 years, and Burgum's going to be his number two, and then in 2028, it's wide open.
Yeah, that was Harsanyi.
That's another way to look at it. Maybe that is the better way. I don't know. I'm definitely persuadable of that. Maybe that is the better way, is to do somebody that's, that Burgum is much more like Mike Pence, except with the private sector success in terms of his background.
But the internet keeps saying, "Oh, the Trump has made up its mind. It's Vivek Ramaswamy."
I don't think so. I don't think so. But the idea of we're just looking at the next 4 years, and then it'll be up to the party to decide if they want to continue the America First agenda when that debate happens in 28 with all the aspirants at that time.
I know we're going to be at our debate party, which, by the way, want to get this in. 560 will have complete coverage of Thursday night's, tomorrow night's presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, beginning at 7 p.m., with pre-debate analysis from Hugh Hewitt, Sebastian Gorka, Mike Gallagher. Then starting at 8 p.m., you can hear the Fox News Radio's coverage of the CNN presidential debate, followed by instant analysis immediately following. Complete debate night coverage begins at 7 p.m. right here on your election station, AM 560. The Answer. Dan, did you know that we're the election station?
I do now.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
For over 10 years, the award-winning KWCC Construction has been building a better future locally and throughout the Midwest, constructing with detailed planning and execution, completing projects safely, timely, and with transparency. If you've ever visited the Wilder Park Promenade along the Riverwalk in Aurora or driven past the recently revitalized Copley Hospital, you're looking at the quality construction of KWCC. Maybe you've seen the adaptive reuse of 80 South River Street in downtown Aurora, which now includes residences and businesses that have revitalized the area. No matter the project, KWCC Construction offers services from indoors to outdoors, conception to completion. In fact, KWCC was recognized as 2022's Best Project in Landscape and Urban Development. Highly recommended. A general contracting company you can count on. That's KWCC. To request a proposal for your project, visit kwccinc.com. That's kwccinc.com.
Wouldn't it be great if, like, Barks or A&W or one of the root beer companies, whichever one, maybe IBC, I don't know what he was drinking. What kind of root beer?
I don't know what kind. Yeah.
We're talking about the Big Gulp Attacker. Be great if they made him a spokesman or something like that.
I think his street name should be Root Beer.
The Root Beer King of Chicago, as somebody tweeted. Choosing where to send your kids to school is one of the most important decisions you make as parents, even as the school year has come to an end. This one has. You might be thinking about where to send your kids to school in the fall. You need to know that private school might be an option for you and your family thanks to our friends at Half Price Schools. At halfpriceschools.com, you'll find many different private schools from around Chicagoland offering a full year of tuition for half of the normal price. And you can take advantage of this great opportunity. It's simple. Find a private school near you, purchase a tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools located across Chicagoland, including St. Peter Lutheran in Schaumburg, Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights, Ravenswood Christian in Chicago, St. Andrew's Lutheran in Park Ridge, and many more. So don't delay. Next school year will be here before you know it. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. Do not wait. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
For years now, people have been switching their wireless service to Pure Talk to save money. I mean, $20 a month, you get unlimited talk and text and tons of data. It's a no-brainer. But in the last few weeks, Pure Talk has also reported a surge of new customers. They're signing up in order to support a charity that's near and dear to their hearts, the America's Warrior Partnership, which, by the way, they're on the front lines of preventing veteran suicide by filling the basic needs of our vets. So many of my listeners have chosen to step away from the big carriers, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and now you can help vets with their support of AWP. And by the way, this continues through the 4th of July weekend. So join us, switch your cell phone service to America's most dependable 5G network with Pure Talk. Do it before the 4th of July weekend, and you'll be helping support veterans in need all across the country. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword SAVE NOW, and you'll be connected to Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team. Pound 250, keyword SAVE NOW.
All right. Can't wait to take it. Balance of Nature. Why? 0 fruits and veggies I took yesterday. That's it. So that's where Balance of Nature comes in. The fruits and vegetable supplements. 6 capsules a day. I crack them open into warm water. Some people throw it in a salad, apple sauce, you name it. They've done it. Put it in a smoothie. But what it is 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. 800-246-8751. 800-246-8751. That is the number to call. Be sure to use coupon code Chicago. First timers get 35% off and free shipping. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Speaking of the lawfare, we were addressing the context of Bannon's pending prison sentence and what the House Republicans are doing. We'll talk lawfare, including some new revelations. There always seem to be coming out new revelations with respect to Jack Smith's manipulations in the documents case. We'll talk lawfare with Andy McCarthy at 6:36.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
6:31. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gerskovich has gone on trial in the Russian city of Yekaterinburg on espionage charges. The 32-year-old journalist appeared in court with his head shaved. The session ended after about 2 hours, with the next one scheduled for August 13. Kenyans woke up to the smell of tear gas in the capital of Nairobi, a day after protesters stormed parliament amid violent demonstrations over a tax plan, during which 6 were killed. Thousands of protesters stormed Kenya's parliament, burning parts of that building. Former President Trump could announce a pick for VP as early as this week, according to several reports, including NBC News. AM 560 will carry live coverage of the CNN presidential debate from Fox News Radio, beginning at 8 p.m. on Thursday. George Latimer has defeated U.S. Representative Jamal Bowman of New York in a Democrat primary that highlighted the party's deep divisions over Palestinian attacks on Israel and then the war in Gaza. A popular ice cream maker is recalling nearly 70 flavors. Here's Fox News Radio's Gary Baumgarten.
Totally Cool, which makes popular ice cream treats like Chipwich cookie sandwiches and Friendly's ice cream cakes, is recalling more than 60 products across a number of brands. This after the FDA discovered the presence of listeria in its product sampling. Listeria is most dangerous to elderly people, pregnant women, newborns, and people with weakened immune systems. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
A man from the west suburbs has died after being swept away by floodwaters in Iowa on Saturday. William Schultze of Elburn tried to cross the Little Sioux River, but was swept away by the current. 2 people were shot near a McDonald's in the Austin neighborhood last night. A 25 and 26-year-old man each were shot, then transported to Mount Sinai Hospital. City Council members are set to meet Wednesday in Chicago. They will be discussing new tax and revenue ideas circulated by 6th Ward Chicago Alderman William Hall. The proposals include a congestion tax, a monthly wireless tax plan, a city sticker increase, a vacant lot tax, a gaming tax, a plan to generate new revenue by placing billboards along the Chicago River, taxing trucks moving through neighborhoods, a grocery tax, and an income tax surcharge may also be considered. Mayor Brandon Johnson revealed 4 public forums for citizens to get their input on revenue and spending. The first forum will be held July 22nd. By the way, most would require approval from the General Assembly. Many aldermen will angle for budget cuts as well ahead of Wednesday's meeting. The Cubs lost to the Giants 5-1. White Sox beaten by the Dodgers 4-3. The Bulls pick at number 11 tonight in the NBA draft. The news is a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum says we've lost focus.
And it's the kind of stuff that they do at these schools today. They give you a trophy when you don't deserve it. Everybody gets a trophy. Everybody's great and excellent, and you're heard and you're seen and you're thought about, and look at diversity and inclusion and delusion. I mean, that stuff got to stop, man. We need to start really focusing and looking at our children and saying, are you getting a good education? The world want to know, can you get the job done?
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only 2 good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers, this one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call
847-623-1625.
and get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:38, a check on the roads this morning. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update, a service of Indeed.com. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website, Indeed.com/credit. Eden's jammed up. Cicero to Montrose, 31 in from Lake Cook Road. Kennedy in, already an hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. They have just reopened the inbound Eisenhower. Right at Cicero, heavy delays remain from First Avenue all the way to Costner, all due to a much earlier accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Could see a thunderstorm crop up in spots. Otherwise, clouds and sun. High of 85, clearing out, and a low of 62 overnight. Currently 73. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Boy, Jack Smith is having a heck of a time with Judge Eileen Cannon on the classified docs case.
Poor baby.
And maybe he is because he and his team, including the FBI, have not distinguished themselves in the decisions that have been made in pursuit of Trump on these classified documents-related charges. We're getting more information about these classified documents and sort of the agitprop associated with them after the Mar-a-Lago raid. Julie Kelly arguing that I'll just read her tweet. As I reported last month, the FBI brought colored classified cover sheets to the raid under the guise of using them to substitute classified documents found within Trump's boxes. Instead, FBI agents attached the scary-looking sheets to various files and took photos. In DOJ's opposition to Trump's special master lawsuit in 2022, Prosecutor Jay Bratt he's prosecutor. Jay Bratt attached infamous photo as a prop so the media would publish it and claim the papers were found with classified cover sheets. So, I mean, just the manipulation of what was actually found and then photographed and then released to the media, some of which turns out not to be true. In point of fact, this is disclosed in discovery in a court filing Wednesday evening. Attorneys for Trump criticized the photo and its inclusion in the brief the government filed opposing Trump's request for a special master to review the retrieved documents. The government's response gratuitously included a photograph of allegedly classified materials pulled from a container and spread across the floor for dramatic effect, the filing said, which is correct. Then ABC News actually goes on to say, pay special attention to the cover pages. We now know were not originally attached to the documents. The photos, ABC News reporting, the photo shows numerous documents on the floor of Trump's personal office, including color-coded cover sheets bearing classification markings and big bold lettering.
The whole world saw that.
An examination of these cover sheets alone tells you a lot, said Douglas London, a 34-year CIA veteran. As the most important intelligence customer, it should be no surprise that the president receives the most sensitive information, and that's reflected in these documents. So the cover pages were added post hoc by the FBI, Is that a big deal? It would seem to be. Why is the FBI in the business of staging for the purposes of D.C. press corps reporting, as opposed to investigating for the purposes of law enforcement? Are the two mutually exclusive? For more on this and more legal matters, we're pleased to be joined by Andy McCarthy, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, contributing editor to National Review, and author of Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Morning. Good to be with you.
So, your view on this chicanery in the documents case?
Well, it depends on whether it's chicanery or not. I agree completely with the business about staging a photograph for public consumption. That should not have been done. And, look, it's not going to be enough to get the evidence suppressed or to throw the case out, but, somebody ought to be walking the plank over that.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, let's say, let's put the media circus part of this aside and say you're an agent who's doing a classified documents case, right? And I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm just saying hypothetically why you could see why this would not be all that problematic. You go into a location that you're allowed to search because you have a warrant, and you find classified documents on the floor or in the premises or whatever. So what I would want as the prosecutor, I don't know at that point in time what the judge is going to allow ultimately in the trial in terms of what classified information comes into the case or not. So what I want the agents to do is take a picture of exactly what it looked like when you went in there with no adornment, no anything else. And so we could preserve exactly what it looked like. And you could testify that, yes, when I walked in the room, this is what I found. And then take these cover sheets and cover the documents as categorically. In other words, if you have like a top secret document and you have a top secret cover sheet, put the cover sheet over the document and then take another photo. That way you haven't manipulated the crime scene because you preserved what it originally looked like. But at the same time, if later on the judge says this or that classified information can't come into the case, you've covered it so that you've preserved the secret, but the jury could still see what the room looked like when you came into it, which is the whole reason that you take pictures. If that's why they did it, Dan, I wouldn't have a problem with it. If they did it to stage a photo to prejudice Trump in the press, and that was the only reason for doing it, then I say people ought to get fired over that.
I wanted to get your take on another argument that's being advanced by the Trump defense team, that Jack Smith's appointment is unconstitutional because Merrick Garland had no statutory authority to unilaterally empower him to be a special prosecutor.
Yeah, I wrote a long piece about this over the weekend at National Review. I think there's a lot to that motion. I mean, basically, it's a little bit confusing for two reasons. The appointments clause is not, it's the Constitution. It's not exactly the clearest thing especially for those of us nowadays reading it, because it's articulated in a style of the late 18th century rather than now. It's not. I'm not saying it's inscrutable. I'm just saying it's not the easiest read, so you have to break it down a little bit. And then the other thing that's confusing is this distinction between who's a principal officer, like the Attorney General is a principal officer. All principal officers, most of whose offices are created by the Constitution itself, have to be nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. Then there's another category of what's called inferior officers. They have to be created by Congress, which is why, in a statute, which is why Jack Smith can't be one. His position is created by a Justice Department regulation. But it's a little confusing who's a principal and who's an inferior officer, because Congress gets to say how you confirm inferior officers, how you qualify them. And sometimes Congress writes into the statute that the inferior officer also has to be nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. So, for example, our U.S. attorneys, district U.S. attorneys, are they inferior or principal officers? There's a good argument for both, and you can't tell just because they're, the fact that they're nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate doesn't necessarily clinch it. But the point is, you can have a long argument about all that stuff, but if you look narrowly at Smith, he's not nominated by the president, he's not confirmed by the Senate, and his position wasn't created by a statute. So I don't see how he can be an officer of the United States, which I think he has to be to wield prosecutorial authority without supervision. And what he's saying is that he's an inferior officer, which I don't think he can be. And the other thing he's saying, which I think is the big issue here, is his appointment is fine because he's closely supervised by the Attorney General. And my point is, the whole appointment of Smith was a political head fake so that Merrick Garland and Biden could claim that they had nothing to do with the prosecution of Trump.
Right.
So how can he now say that it's okay because Merrick Garland's been closely supervising me, since Merrick Garland's been telling the country for 2 years that he lets this guy operate independently with no supervision?
Good argument. Judge Eileen Cannon, she's getting sort of the Sam Alito, Clarence Thomas treatment now. She's over her skis. She's in the tank for Trump, so on and so forth. What's your assessment of how she has managed this case thus far?
Yeah, I think if you have idiots who are like partisan hacks who are covering the case and writing about her, that's the kind of nonsense that I almost said the wrong word there, Dan.
Yeah, it's all right. You caught
but
yourself.
That's the kind of stuff that you hear, right? But if you watch this case closely, first of all, she's ruled against Trump plenty of times. I think that the thing is, the Democrats and their apologists, especially for these prosecutions, are used to having proceedings in Manhattan and Washington where basically the judge does pretty much what the prosecutor tells the judge to do.
Mm-hmm.
And down in Florida, what we're seeing is a fair trial, and what that looks like, which means, sometimes you win and sometimes you don't win, and a lot of it depends on like the strength of your position, not who you happen to be prosecuting. And I think if you're going to blame Cannon for the fact that this case seems to be mired in pretrial proceedings, you're blaming the wrong person. This case was overcharged by Jack Smith. A competent prosecutor could have written a tight obstruction indictment with about 8 charges against Trump, so there would have been plenty of criminal exposure. You wouldn't have had to get into all of the classified information litigation that he's had to get into, because it wouldn't matter what the content of the documents was. The only thing would matter is, did they have classified markings on it? Because that's what the subpoena that he got that Trump got from the grand jury called for. So the reason this case is mired, and the reason it hasn't been able to get to trial, and the reason that there's no trial date on the horizon, is not because of Judge Cannon. Everybody who's ever done one of these cases knows a classified information case of this type, where he larded 32 classified information counts into the indictment, is very, very hard to get to trial, even if it's the only thing you've got going and you're trying really hard. But he could have tried this. He could have indicted this as an obstruction case, and he could have gotten to trial quickly if that was what his objective was.
Well, I wanted to move on. Last Friday, the Supreme Court ruled that a jury must be unanimous to convict someone of a crime. Does that open the door for Trump's hush money case to be potentially declared a mistrial?
Yeah, I think that door was already open, Amy, but but what the court said reiterated an important principle. Now, I personally think that the count that Trump was convicted on, the theory of the case there was that he falsified his business records to cover up a conspiracy, and the conspiracy was conspiracy to influence an election by unlawful means. And what he said was that the jury didn't have to be unanimous on the unlawful means, because that was just the means of the conspiracy, not the objective. And that's just a ridiculous theory under the criminal law. Very simply, a conspiracy is an agreement by 2 or more people to violate a law, to violate a criminal law. There is no such thing in the criminal law as conspiracy to influence an election, because influencing an election is what campaigns do. It's totally lawful. What makes it a criminal conspiracy is the unlawful means. And therefore, the jury has to be unanimous on what the unlawful means are. Otherwise, there's no conspiracy. So I'm glad the Supreme Court ruled what they ruled, because it just makes the point clearer. But the reason that this was a travesty, one of the 27,000 reasons this was a catastrophe and a travesty, is that the judge instructed the jury that they didn't have to be unanimous about the objective of a conspiracy. And that's ridiculous, because if they're not unanimous on the objective, there's no conspiracy.
Yeah, but again, that's in a place where they have eschewed the standard of having a fair trial. So you have to keep that in mind, too. That's the problem in Florida. You just said it, that there's a fair trial going on in Florida, and that is what Democrats find obnoxious. I mean, I think that's the most telling statement of all, particularly because it's so accurate. I wanted to get your take on something else. The appeal that Hunter Biden's lawyers have made for a new trial on basically legal technicality, saying that their appeal to get a full panel of appellate judges to hear a couple of their other substantive appeals didn't happen prior to trial, and so the Judge Noriega didn't have jurisdiction because of the pending rules in the appeals in the appeal process.
Yeah, I think that's pretty frivolous, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't be the most frivolous argument they've made. Look, all defendants who think they have a meritorious legal claim that they don't win in the district court, the trial court, they all want to get to appeal before the trial, right? Because they think the legal thing is what blows up the case. But as we've seen with Trump's immunity litigation, there's only a few issues that federal criminal law allows you to appeal prior to trial. And they're all issues that go to the question of whether you should be brought to trial in the first place. So the only issues that really covers are things like immunity or double jeopardy, because then the constitutional violation is putting you on trial, not just convicting you, but putting you on trial. The theory in federal law is everything else can wait till the end. So whether a judge is right or wrong on legal issues, and I think Hunter has some pretty profound, I don't think he'll win in the end, but I think he's got some very colorable Second Amendment claims to make on appeal.
Right.
But he lost them in the district court. And what happens when you lose those is you appeal them. And maybe, when he gets up to the circuit, in several months, maybe they'll look at it differently than Judge Noriega did. But there was no problem with her going forward with the trial. And I don't think Hunter's going to be placed in prison pending appeal. So he'll be at liberty. He'll get to litigate his appeal. And if he wins in the circuit, God bless him. It'll get thrown out.
And Trump, when he's sentenced on July 11th, he'll get prison time. He'll be free pending appeal, bonded out pending appeal. Then he'll win. Then he'll serve the first 90 or 120 days of his administration. He'll govern from a prison he'll govern from Rikers Island. And so we're gonna, right? I mean, that's how I see it playing out. Or maybe that's just my dream Law and Order episode. But what do you think?
Well, look, I grew up in the Bronx in the 60s and 70s when a lot of the mob guys were in jail from time to time. So it's not true that important decisions about governance don't happen in prison.
Exactly.
But I actually think Trump's going to get bail pending appeal. I actually think that gives Merchan an even more powerful incentive to give him a prison sentence, because he knows he's not really going to end up in prison.
Well, right. The other thing on that, though, too,
for show.
just on the prison sentence, right? Because it's all for show. You have to impose prison time and serious prison time, because if you didn't, then what was this all for? If you give him probation, right?
Not only that, Dan, the grand jury indicted a puny falsification of business records case. But Alvin Bragg put out a statement of facts the day of the indictment, and they tried the case on the theory that Trump stole the 2016 election. Now, if you told the jury that you stole the most important, awesome office in the world, what do you then say after you convict him of that? I think that's worth 29 hours of probation. I don't think so.
Andy McCarthy, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, contributing editor at National Review, author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thanks as always.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Conveyors keep your products moving, but when they break down, it can cost your company time and money. If you need help with conveyors, call a company that has the expertise and capability to help.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. I've got over 40 years of personal experience in dealing with conveyors and their related parts. At Vans, we install and maintain all types of conveyors, including screw conveyors, belt conveyors, drag conveyors, and bucket elevators. And if you need related conveyor chutes, drives, guards, or dust collection, we can design and install all of these components for your conveyor system.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics insured at the highest levels to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your conveyor inspection today. That's 833-VANSIND. Visit them online at vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
F. Billy McMorris has sort of a spin on Henny Youngman's old "Take My Wife, Please" line. Draft my daughters, please, at 7:07.
But first, let's stop into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
The Highland Park shooting suspect expected to change a plea today. Cubs lose to the Giants. White Sox fall to the Dodgers. WIND Chicago News Time, 7.
A 2024 first. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A congressman primaried out in the most expensive primary race ever. Progressive Democrat Jamal Bowman, who's accused Israel of genocide in Gaza, lost to George Latimer in New York. Latimer's a pro-Israel centrist who beat Bowman by 17 points.
Tonight we turn a page and we say that we believe in inclusion of everybody.
In Colorado, Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert won a primary in a new district she wants to switch to represent. Julian Assange is free, now back home in Australia after a years-long legal battle with the U.S. ended with a court in the Northern Mariana Islands American territory accepting the WikiLeaks founder guilty plea to an espionage charge.
This prosecution sets a dangerous precedent that should be of concern to journalists everywhere.
That's Assange lawyer Jennifer Robinson. Assange's charge stems from WikiLeaks posting a lot of U.S. classified military information online. An American journalist Russia claims is a spy, Evan Gershkovich, went on trial today.
He was seen in that glass cage once again, this time appearing with a shaved head. Washington and the Wall Street Journal have repeatedly rejected the spy charges as baseless.
Fox's Alex Hogan. The next hearing set for August 13th. President Biden's offering pardons for potentially thousands of military veterans.
The president says pardons for LGBTQI plus service members forced out of the military because of sexual orientation or gender identity rights a historic wrong. In a statement, he says some of the veterans were subjected to court-martial.
Fox's Jared Halpern. The day before the CNN presidential debate, when immigration could be a big issue, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas will go to the border in Arizona.
The White House is out with new numbers this morning, announcing that since President Biden signed a proclamation earlier this month, things are moving in the right direction. Those new DHS numbers show the Border Patrol's 7-day encounter average has decreased more than 40%.
Fox's David Spun. America's listening to Fox News. 73 degrees, cloudy skies at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man from the west suburbs has died, swept away by floodwaters in Iowa. It happened over the weekend as William Schultze of Elburn tried to cross the Little Sioux River in his pickup when he was swept away by the current. 2 people were shot near a McDonald's in the Austin neighborhood. A 25-year-old and 26-year-old man last night were shot and then transported to Mount Sinai Hospital in good condition. The Highland Park parade shooting suspect is expected to change his plea today in Lake County Court. The criminal prosecution of Robert Cremo III could come to an end
if he pleads guilty to some or all of the felony counts against him, all related to the killing of 7 and wounding of dozens more in Highland Park in July of 2022. 4 20-year-old men charged in connection with an alleged assault and brawl at a Mount Greenwood restaurant faced a judge Tuesday. The incident took place in the early morning hours Sunday in the 3000 block of West 111th in that Mount Greenwood neighborhood.
It's always been, what do you need and how much and when do you need it? And the Baracco family has always delivered to this community.
The community rallying around the owner of that restaurant, Andrew Feddick of LaGrange Park, Harry Kenny of Glen Ellen, Frank Paris of River Forest, John Powers IV of Oak Park, were all charged. But their attorney says video may show a different story, and the judge partially agreed, giving the quartet pre-trial release.
We presented a video today that showed that it was, in our position, the bouncers who were the aggressors.
Prosecutors say there were 4 victims in the case, including an off-duty police officer and the restaurant's owner, who remains hospitalized in serious condition. And we're tracking a developing story this morning as Grundy County officials say they're preparing to make an announcement this week in the case of an unidentified woman whose body was found along a road near Seneca in 1976. Coroner John Callahan says there will be a news conference in Morris on Thursday. Cubs lost to the Giants 5-1. Sox 4-3 losers to the Dodgers. The Bulls getting set for their first-round pick in the NBA draft tonight, picking at number 11 overall. The news is a service of Health Insurance Mentors. Are you 65 or older and thinking about Medicare? Call Stephen Tucker today for free Medicare advice. Visit healthinsurancementors.com or call 630-674-1551 or healthinsurancementors.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka says we have to put in the work.
They can't win this fair and square. I mean, they have to cheat so bigly. And what has President Trump said? Too big to rig. If we make sure that we are there, when the ballots are counted by our side as well as theirs, that's how we win.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Honey, what are we going to do with your grandparents' old coins and jewelry?
I'm pretty sure they're worth some money.
You've been saying that for years.
Okay, how about PGS Gold and Coin? They're the best when it comes to selling family valuables.
And you know this because...
PGS, when it comes to your valuables, they're the best.
Do that again.
PGS, when it comes to your valuables, they're the best.
Isn't that the place Jeff sold his grandmother's jewelry when she passed?
Yep, he checked out pgsgoldandcoin.com and found tons of positive reviews. He was blown away by how much he got. Do you? Oh, you're already on the site.
Almost. pgsgoldandcoin.com.
PGS Gold and Coin, the upscale way of selling your coins, jewelry, diamonds, and collectibles. Family owned and operated for over 14 years. Rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Now with 4 Chicagoland locations. And they make house calls. 888-416-2701 or pgsgoldandcoin.com.
PGS. When it comes to your valuables, they're the best.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
All right, who's there for heroes or their families left behind when a service member or a first responder dies or is catastrophically injured in the line of duty? Who helps our country's homeless vets? I'll tell you who. It's the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Never forget the sacrifices of our country's greatest heroes. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org, the letter T, number 2, letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Let me ask you this. Are you not able to enjoy this summer as much as you want because of joint pain? Well, this is the best time for being outdoors, but not if your knees, shoulders, back, or hips are hurting. Hey, it's Amy Jacobson, and don't suffer any longer. Non-surgical joint pain relief is here from our good friends at QC Kinetics. Call them today. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Walk, run, hike, play golf, move again pain-free. So stop putting it off. Take action now and live your best life again. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. They're open on Saturdays, now with new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
7:08. A check of the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance. Eliminate any surprises. QuickDelivery.com. The Kennedy at an hour 12. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike finally recovering from that inbound closure for hours at Cicero. Now your big delay. Harlem to Independence as the Ike is reopened. It's 1 hour in from 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan jammed up in the locals inbound between 47th and Roosevelt. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
A thunderstorm in spots for us this morning, otherwise a breezy day. Clouds and sun, high 85. Clear tonight, low 62. Sunny, less humidity tomorrow, the high 74. Clouds, shower, and a thunderstorm on Friday, the high at 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Cloudy and 73 right now. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The push to require women to register for the draft, we talked about it a couple weeks back when it came to light that it had been included by Democrats, that provision, in the name of equity, of course, in the National Defense Authorization Act as proposed. Oh, in the name of equity. I mean, who can argue with
That's what they wanted.
who can argue with that? Billy McMorris has a good line in a piece he wrote over at The Spectator. The same people who want to draft your daughters while simultaneously blocking amendments that would force female grunts to meet the same standards as males will soon emerge as the architects of the Chinese ground invasion. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Military preparedness. Not for us, for the Chinese communists. Yeah, that sounds about right. F. Billy McMorris is an academic director for the National Journalism Center and a contributing editor for The Spectator. And he must be a Henny Youngman fan, too, or at least the headline writer was. Paraphrasing, "Take my wife, please. Draft my daughters, please," he writes. Billy McMorris, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dan and Amy.
So you sound like, as the dad of daughters, you're not that enthusiastic about what Senate Democrats are pushing.
No, to say the least. If any of my 6 daughters were to be drafted, I'm not quite sure what I would do.
I think you included in your piece the Hawks who call for a female draft share two things in common. They know the draft will not affect them personally, and they do not count on me murdering them when my daughters receive the summons. So I think there's some indication of what you might do in your piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think a manslaughter charge will suffice now that I've put it to writing. It might be the biggest sentence I've ever regretted.
Right, malice of forethought. So I mean, but what's your perspective on their perspective, and and of course, all roads must lead to equity in the West these days.
So the genesis of having women register for selective service actually started as part of the anti-war movement. Democrats started introducing the concept of a female draft in the hope that America would never be so barbarous as to actually draft its daughters. And what is so eye-opening is that in the ensuing few decades, what has shifted is this went from an anti-war movement to you actually saw hawkish commentators who are so enthralled to Pentagon funding and the idea that we must pass legislation that they are rallying behind this idea. And it's very disturbing, to say the least, that self-described conservatives are coming out in support of this now.
Right. I mean, because they're falling into sort of the, well, look, as long as the standards are the same, if women want to serve in the military, well, that's fine. And
they let women serve in the military that sign up voluntarily.
Right, I know, but right. So then what? I'm a little unclear too on the conservative argument for conscription generally, and for women specifically. And then even with respect to volunteers for combat roles, I'm still a little unclear of how that is conservative. What can you present the argument as you understand it?
Human sacrifice, I think, is the the argument.
Okay, all right. Well,
but is there any hope? I mean, what about Senator Mike Lee and Representative Chip Roy? Are they trying to right the wrongs here?
Yes.
Tell us what they're doing.
So there are provisions. The NDAA version has passed the House, and last time back in 2021, when there was a provision included to draft our daughters, that ended up being stripped out of the Pentagon funding bill. But this just goes to show you, I mean, it's a common Democratic tactic where they take a must-pass piece of omnibus legislation and use that to achieve their ideological pet projects. You saw this in the infrastructure bill, which, we think it's going to fund, potholes and bridge repairs. And instead, it was used to introduce kill switches, mandating that breathalyzer locks be attached to every single car made in the U.S. starting in 2025. So we see this time and again, and of course the Pentagon will only get its funding if we include a provision to draft our daughters. So both Mike Lee and Chip Roy have valiantly pledged to have basically said over our dead bodies, hoping to strip this language from the bill.
Right, but there are those on the left that need to keep up appearances, and they're willing to go over the edge of the cliff in order to do so. So there's no difference between men and women, so they should be treated the same with respect to even selective service. That's our commitment to equity. So there's that camp. And then there's sort of surrender Republicans, maybe surrender conservatives, who are afraid to be called misogynists or bigots or something like this, and so they sort of sheepishly go along, which is why the advance of the last 200 years in the West has, and frankly human history, has always been an advance towards the left.
Yes, absolutely. The whole we're liberals, but with speed limits. Except if your speed limit can't possibly differentiate between men and women serving in the infantry, what's the point of having them?
Well, if you have to, if this becomes a law, will you sign up your 6 daughters when they're age eligible for selective service?
No, I think my 6 daughters and I will take over Canada. That's when we're not just fleeing to Canada. We're going to go as an invading army.
Well, sure. Roll over them with 6 women.
Watch
That's
out.
all we need.
Yeah, Trudeau will open with surrender.
Yes, he's less strong than China is. I like our odds better in Canada.
Are your daughters aware of what's happening?
My 13-year-old is, only because I think she overheard me loudly cursing in the other room.
Okay.
You know, this hasn't gotten a lot of attention, really. I mean, you don't hear a lot of discussion about it, and I that sort of speaks to the culture too, or maybe it just speaks, well, speaks to the culture in a couple of different ways. One, it can be sort of people are dead from the neck up. Two is that they're afraid from the neck up, or maybe the chest down, and three, maybe they just again are completely unaltered by experience, and they think that this is a joke and this will never happen.
That's, I think.
What do you?
Exactly. And this is one of those instances where the Supreme Court has saved lawmakers from having to legislate because it ruled in the 1980s that the all-male draft was legitimate because the armed forces, because women weren't able to join the infantry or the artillery or serving combat zones at that time. So the Supreme Court rightfully said, well, if the purpose of a draft is to fill the ranks and women are excluded from these jobs, we don't want to waste manpower and efficiency on drafting them. Now, the second that President Obama signed his executive order opening up all of these roles to women, the Supreme Court, which has avoided taking any cases challenging the male-only draft, but if they do get it, according to the prevailing logic, they would have to include women in this draft. They would have to overturn that ban because the reasoning has disappeared. So this is one of those things where conservatives have not had to exercise any argument about natural law in so long. They've instead relied on the judiciary to save them. And it's about time, it's far past time, that we start making a positive case against the female draft.
Yeah, but I mean, what is your perspective that that people don't take it seriously, that people, as you were sort of suggesting, hope that somebody else carries the water on this one so they don't have to, some combination of the two?
Yes, that's absolutely the case. There are a few vocal opponents, and they are dismissed as conspiracy theorists, but the second the Overton window shifts on this, then we are in trouble. And this is worth considering, is the fact that the Department of Justice actually charged a man who started the Draft Our Daughters meme in 2016 and said that Hillary Clinton would draft our daughters. The DOJ called that election interference.
Right.
And misinformation. And isn't it funny that the misinformation of yesterday is now the reality of today?
Boy, that happens. That happens all too often, doesn't it? Yeah, that's why.
That's why we have the Babylon Bee.
Well, but it's also why people that the whole I'd love to crawl into the head of somebody who's the that can happen crowd and just go back in their memory banks to how many times they thought something that couldn't happen that has happened and then some over the last 2 decades, just even the last over 2 decades. It is amazing people's stubbornness to confront what is happening right before their very eyes. This is perhaps another example. Billy McMorris, academic director for the National Journalism Center and a contributing editor for The Spectator. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dan and Amy.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his 2 business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Vestuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Vamar Inc. in West Chicago, Illinois seeks a fleet manager to plan and coordinate transportation activities and manage vehicles registrations, insurance, and maintenance records. Occasional travel within the United States. Please submit resumes to vamarsafety@gmail.com. Reference job ID FM 2024 in the subject line. That's vamarsafety@gmail.com. Again, that's VAMAR safety@gmail.com. Reference job ID FM 2024 in the subject line.
If you're purchasing or selling a home, call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Today, meet Chris, first-time homebuyer who called Rocket Mortgage. Bad move. Rocket's online lender didn't return Chris's calls, so she contacted Rocket's recommended realtor, who was equally as worthless. Chris called me for help because she was overwhelmed. I answered Chris's questions and put her mind at ease. How many of these stories do you have to hear? I've been originating loans for nearly 24 years and always look out for my borrower's best interest. If you're buying or selling a home, I'm your guy. I'll help you secure a new mortgage, and my experienced realtors will help you locate a new home or sell your existing one. Stop wasting your time working with online lenders and inexperienced realtors who don't know what they're doing. Call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. Lower.com, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Dr. Zhang. I'm a doctor of podiatric medicine.
My name is Todd. I'm a paramedic firefighter. I've been on the job for 28 years.
My name is Dr. Peter Munda. I'm a chiropractor in New York, Long Island.
I've been taking Balance of Nature for 23 years.
I love Balance of Nature, and this is definitely a product that I would recommend to other people, and I'll never stop taking it.
How many 70-year-old pictures you know? As far as Balance of Nature goes, I'll keep taking this stuff until the day I die, you know?
I'm almost 55 years old, and because I have so much vitality, I can really enjoy the great outdoors. Our bodies are kind of like machines. If you do not give the machine the proper nutrition, it's not going to work very well. Simple as that.
Splash into your summer with our summer savings. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first set as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, thinking about military, you heard Biden, Joe Obama, third term,
but it's Biden doing it. Pardoning 2,000 servicemen who were kicked out of the military when the gay ban was in effect.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm thinking in the interest of equity and reparations, only LGBTQIA2S+++++ should be drafted.
Okay. I mean,
it should be an all LGBTQIA2S+++ armed services for a particular period of time, such that they catch up to the opportunities, with the opportunities they were otherwise deprived of back in the bad old days when we focused on, military effectiveness and antiquated concepts like that. What do you think?
I think that's great. It's, Pride Month's almost over. We have the big gay pride parade this weekend, and yeah, I like the idea.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Pride Month ends, and then, we're going to be into non-binary genderqueer week shortly thereafter.
Right.
So we have that to look forward to.
How many, 163 days honoring different, Transgender Day, non-binary? Yeah.
Yeah. About 100, about
Gotta put the American flags up for the 4th of July. It's America's birthday.
About 198 days short of being perfect, being a perfect calendar. Robert and Lyle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, thanks for having me on. The question is, did Barack Obama ever sign up for selective service? I doubt it.
But Big Mike did.
He became the commander-in-chief. I think this female draft is nothing more than the natural progression of the degradation of our nation's morals. I was drafted during the Vietnam. I'm a combat veteran, and my dad was upset that he didn't see any senators' kids getting drafted at that time. So this is another way of our nation falling into the pit. And myself personally, I have granddaughters now, and I don't want to see them get drafted, and I totally object to this.
Thanks for
wrong for our country to go in that direction.
Thanks for the call, Robert.
Thanks for your service.
Yeah, by the way, Obama did register for the selective service when it was appropriate, 1980. So that did happen. I remember that being in controversy because, obtaining any records regarding Obama,
his birth certificate.
Like academic transcripts are so difficult. Interestingly enough,
why was everything
existence of previous girlfriends very, very difficult.
Resistance.
Bill in Cape Coral, Florida.
The Supreme Court has stated that the definition of a woman is unknown, so everyone is the same according to the Supreme Court.
Well, at least one justice. Yeah, probably three. Yeah.
Well, I'll say it is either unqualified or it is lying when they took that oath questions before the Congress to become the judge. But I agree with the last caller. Our country is really in bad shape. God bless us all. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Yeah, Ketanji Brown Jackson has no idea whether she's a woman or not.
Can't define it.
No,
after all those years of law school,
it's unknowable.
Yeah, it's really
it's just
it's
an
great
unknowable
mystery.
thing.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll turn our attention to matters economic when Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author, joins us. That's 7:37.
But now, let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Smith.
7:31. It's cloudy right now, 73 degrees. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gerskovich has gone on trial in Russia on espionage charges. The 32-year-old journalist appeared in court with a head shaved. Officials say the session ended after 2 hours. The next one is scheduled for August 13. Former President Donald Trump could announce his pick for vice president as early as this week. That's the rumbling from reporters in Washington, D.C. NBC News says Trump believes he would announce that pick on or before the Republican convention next month. AM 560 will carry live coverage of the CNN presidential debate from Fox News Radio beginning 8 p.m. Thursday night. A man from the west suburbs has died after being swept away in floodwaters in Iowa. The Clay County Sheriff says William Schultz of Elburn tried to cross the Little Sioux River in his pickup when he was swept away by the current. City Council members are set to meet Wednesday. They'll discuss new tax and revenue ideas. 16 proposals are being circulated by 6th Ward Chicago Alderman William Hall. That includes taxing trucks moving through neighborhoods, a grocery tax, and an income tax surcharge may be considered. Mayor Brandon Johnson revealed 4 public forums for citizens' input on revenue and spending. The first held July 22nd. 2 new taxpayer-funded shelters are beginning to serve illegal migrants in Chicago. The Pritzker administration plan would have one located near Midway Airport, the other in the Hyde Park community. Cassie Almeida fought to reopen the Gage Park Fieldhouse after it was taken over by shelter advocates.
We 24/7 being on the trees here outside, having sex in the park in front of kids and everything. I think it's a huge mistake of him trying to open more shelters.
The Hyde Park shelter is a former hotel previously used to quarantine new arrivals who had the measles. State Representative Adam Niemerg says, once again, the Pritzker administration is putting citizens last.
If this was about compassion and humanity, they wouldn't be doing this, because we're putting Illinois citizens last. We're putting folks, veterans, homeless, folks in the inner cities that are struggling to make a living, trying to pay grocery bills, get to work every day. We're putting them last.
And the Highland Park parade shooting suspect is expected to change his plea today in a Lake County courtroom. The criminal prosecution of Robert Cremo III then could come to an end. Cubs lost to San Francisco 5-1. White Sox beaten by the Dodgers 4-3. And the Bulls will pick at number 11 tonight in the first round of the NBA draft. The news is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Brighten your home this summer and make the rooms in your house look bigger with fiberglass replacement windows by Infinity from Marvin. Schedule an appointment by June 30th for 10% off installation. Visit woodlandwindows.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Tomorrow night, it's the rematch of the century as Joe Biden and Donald Trump share the debate stage for the first time since 2020, and the whole world will be watching. Don't miss a second of AM 560's coverage, beginning with the Sean Thompson Show at 4, followed by pre-debate coverage with Mike Gallagher, Hugh Hewitt, and Sebastian Gorka at 7. And then hear Fox News coverage of the CNN presidential debate, beginning at 8 tomorrow night, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Dr. Zhang. I'm a doctor of podiatric medicine.
My name is Todd. I'm a paramedic firefighter. I've been on the job for 28 years.
My name is Dr. Peter Munda. I'm a chiropractor in New York, Long Island.
I've been taking Balance of Nature for 23 years.
I love Balance of Nature, and this is definitely a product that I would recommend to other people, and I'll never stop taking it.
How many 70-year-old pictures, As far as Balance of Nature goes, I'll keep taking this stuff until the day I die,
I'm almost 55 years old, and because I have so much vitality, I can really enjoy the great outdoors. Our bodies are kind of like machines. If you do not give the machine the proper nutrition, it's not going to work very well. Simple as that.
Splash into your summer with our summer savings. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first set as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars, cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright, because you could be leaving a fortune on the table, and you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
7:37. Let's check the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. Eden's at 21 Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, 75 minutes O'Hare to the Burn Circle interchange. Solid on the inbound Ike between Harlem and Holman Avenue. Inbound Stevenson, 51 minutes from the Tri-State into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Could have a thunderstorm in spots this morning, otherwise clouds and sun, and a high of 85. Currently clouds and 74. Your next news is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business powered by Mirabali Insurance. Sunday evenings at 6.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. There's nothing more unwelcoming than when the business community in a particular neighborhood, in a particular urban center, doesn't make appropriate room for the unhoused. And that's what's going on in L.A. And, of course, Mayor Karen Bass, indistinguishable from other big city mayors, put Karen Bass in Chicago, put Brandon Johnson in L.A. It would be the same story in both cities. Karen Bass had deployed her troops to remove the encumbrances in front of these businesses in a particular neighborhood that are not providing enough safe space for the unhoused. Of course, obviously, the right play.
And just like that, the planters are gone. The city citing businesses need permits, and these planters are an obstruction. But business owners say no more than the tents that used to line Sunset Boulevard for years, encampments encroaching over the entire sidewalk.
This is like bare minimum of where we should be right now. We should never have a thoroughfare blocked with bodies and waste because the city neglects the area. And this is not a war on homelessness.
Andrew Monheim owns Monheim Microphones nearby and says it's unbelievable.
It's totally disrespectful to small businesses and the people that have been the lifeblood around here. And I'm not just talking about myself, but like businesses that thrive around here and they keep the pulse. There's no reason that they should have to stand around and watch like this go to the worst possible scenario.
And it's not just the business owners.
This is the first time I've been able to walk down this street in years because it's been filled with drug dealers, homeless people. It's been unsafe. I almost got ambushed once just trying to walk home. I live right around the corner.
Back in April, 35 people were living in front of the legendary Sunset Sound that nearly had to shut its doors because of the growing encampment. The city says it's worked to get those people housed and says it was a success. But many fear the shady block will once again be overrun with the same issue.
What do you do? Like, you can't walk through here at night with people and not be concerned about the people you're with, your own safety, not to mention how just disgusting it is.
The battle over the sidewalks is over for now, but businesses say they'll be filing for permits if they can survive in Hollywood long enough to do so.
Yeah, I got to remove those planters to make room for the tent encampments. And gosh, that business owner you heard at the end saying it's not safe to walk around here at night, not to mention it's disgusting. I mean, there's no place for that kind of othering lingo in a welcoming community like Los Angeles, any more than when there would be in Chicago. And, of course, we're looking forward to the glorious opening of 2 new homeless/migrant shelters, welcoming centers.
for Biden buddies and Pritzker pals, one in Hyde Park and one near Midway.
Yeah, Pritzker announced it yesterday. They're taking a former place where they were quarantining people with measles is now going to be open for incoming because they're expecting more to come here, and they want everything to look real nice and crisp and clean for the DNC.
Exactly, and nothing says crisp and clean and nice than migrant shelters dotting the landscape. For more on this, please be joined by Steve Moore, economist, author of Govzilla. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, guys.
That's the problem with these urban centers is the businesses are getting in the way of the homeless encampments. But obviously L.A. is doing something about that.
I think the story here is very simple. It's that progressives and liberals destroy everything they touch. And, what you were talking about that's happening in Los Angeles is also happening in San Francisco. It's also happening in Seattle. It's also happening in Portland. It's also happening in Chicago. It's happening in New York. And nobody does anything about it. So people leave. The producers, the makers are leaving. And it's almost like the migrants and the homeless are running the city now. Look, I'm a charitable person. I do think we should have homeless shelters and so on. But the fact that you can't, in so many cities, walk down the street anymore of Michigan Avenue in Chicago and not worry about being shot at, the fact that you have feces in the street corners in San Francisco, the fact that you have garbage everywhere in Los Angeles because the homeless encampments just become over. These people are sleeping and pooping in the streets, and nobody does anything about it. And then they wonder why these cities are going bankrupt and why people are leaving.
But there is a little bit of pushback. I don't know if you saw what happened in Oakland. The mayor, Shang Tao, they raided her house last weekend, and 40 have signed a petition for her to be recalled.
Well, the FBI raided her house, and 40,000 have signed a recall petition.
Right, and she starts crying about it.
Well,
I'm not going down like that.
We're
We're not going down like that. The people who voted for me deserve to have their voices heard and communities prioritized. I'm seeking the truth right now, just as much as you all are. But I will not be bullied, and I will not be disparaged, and I will not be threatened out of this office. There are a lot of radical right-wing forces
There it is.
who know they will never
There you
win
go.
the
It's Trump people. All those MAGA people went from
It's-
Chicago to Oakland, Stephen
The
Moore.
vast right-wing conspiracy strikes again.
Yeah, right. The problem with Oakland, there's too many MAGA people. There are too many conservatives. Get rid of them, and that'll make the city revive. I mean, look, this breaks my heart. I love American cities. I love Chicago. I love New York. I love San Francisco, and it breaks my heart to see how these great cities are being ruined. Now, on the other hand, Dan and Amy, look, you had an election there in Chicago. What was it, a year ago?
Yeah.
And it was pretty clear you had a pretty sensible Democrat, and then you had a radical leftist Marxist who the Marxist mayor, Brandon Johnson, got the votes of all the rich whites.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't apologize your way into these offices, which is what Paul Vallis tried to do, but I digress. The interesting thing is to see where somebody will come who takes a more aggressive posture, not actually dissimilar to what George Latimer did against Jamal Bowman in that congressional race where he took out Jamal Bowman.
The squad is shrinking. Yay!
Yeah, but and speaking of New York, it was interesting. I don't know if you saw that Alan Rosen, the proprietor of the world-famous Juniors, is exploring a mayoral run as sort of a centrist Democrat. I don't know a lot about him, so I'll wait and see. But I just wonder if you're going to have a moment in some big city where you have a Giuliani in the 80s or a Richard Riordan in the 80s.
Yeah.
Somebody emerges that is commonsensical, even if they lean left. I don't know. Maybe it'll be New York.
I think it is going to happen. I think at some point you reach a boiling point. I'm surprised that it hasn't been reached already. That's why your election in Chicago last year was so tragic. I mean, how bad do things have to get before people wake up to the fact that Marxism and socialism, progressivism don't work? And the thing that's interesting about that story in Los Angeles is that the businesses are closing down because you can't even get in the door of the business of a retailer because you've got, homeless encampments that are blocking the entrances, and then the businesses leave. And then where's the tax revenue going to come from?
Speaking of a boiling point, I don't know if you saw this. We got a real conundrum here. No less than Jeff Bezos' Amazon Post with this important report that while it's widely accepted that humans have been heating up the planet for more than a century by burning coal, oil, and gas.
Right.
There also this other problem. Burning fossil fuels doesn't just cause global warming, it also causes global cooling. So the warming is causing cooling, which is causing warming.
Oh, my God.
And
that's some mental gymnastics going on right there.
As Zeke Hosfather, who is a climate scientist and research lead for the payments company Stripe. He just does climate science on the side instead of a side hustle. We're starting from an area of deep uncertainty. It could be a full degree of cooling being masked. So we're heating up, but we're actually cooler than we think. But the problem is the planet is warming, and it's going to implode on itself like a dying star. But we're also very uncertain about it. But Greta Thunberg isn't.
Okay, come on, Dan. You just don't get it. Don't you understand that global warming causes drought and it causes flooding? I mean, come on. You should know this. It causes any change in temperature and any change in the weather is a result of climate change. I mean, the good news is that there is a real backlash against these green initiatives. I don't know if you saw that there was a study that I think it was McKinsey, one of the major, they did a survey of people who have bought electric vehicles, and almost half of them say on their next car purchase they're not going to buy an electric vehicle. And that's not going in the direction that the Greens want. I mean, Biden wants everyone to have to buy an electric vehicle in the next 10 years. It's just, I think people are fed up with this. I don't know if you saw that in Europe. I mean, this craziness is hard to overestimate. So in Europe now, they're charging a $75 climate change surcharge if you take a plane.
Oh, really?
Because
I like that.
And I guarantee you they're going to try to implement in the United States because, and by the way, only they're going to make flying so expensive that only elite liberals that are very rich can fly on planes, and the rest of us will take, buses and rail cars.
Electric buses, Stephen Moore.
Yeah, well, at some point, maybe the proletariat will be kicked in the nads hard enough to start to provide a little bit more pushback than they've provided. I can afford the $75 surcharge. Everybody else want to pay it? So maybe stop voting for these Marxists. What do you expect to? What do you want Trump to say on Thursday night as it pertains to matters economic, other than I'm going to be America's Javier Milei?
I want Trump to be nice. I just want him to be nice, and I don't want him to be. I watched a tape of the catastrophic debate that he had 4 years ago against Biden. You guys probably remember that, where he's rude and he kept interrupting. Biden every 5 seconds and just came across as a jerk. No, that's not the Trump that we want to see. And by the way, the more Joe Biden talks, the better, right? If I were Trump, I would say almost nothing. Let the guy blabber.
See my time,
an hour and a half. And so I just want to try. I mean, presidential elections are largely about which of these two people do you like better. And the reason Trump won the first time around is because nobody liked Hillary. The reason he lost the second time was because people didn't like him very much. But I have to tell you, his behavior and his demeanor, I've seen him a couple times in the last in speeches and in private. He's just much more calm, collected, factual. I saw him at the Business Roundtable meeting, and so I think that's if we can get that Donald Trump. And by the way, CNN had a report saying they're very nervous that Donald Trump may not act up in this debate.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, but one of the things I think he can do, there's a lot of opportunities for jujitsu in terms of being nice or being room temperature, whatever, and just focusing on substance, so sort of going against caricature. And one of them is actually on immigration. The obvious play is to talk about, and this is important to discuss, all the crime victims, the Laken Rileys and the Rachel Morrins and so forth.
Right.
And that's serious business, especially since he's spoken to the families. But the other thing is to say, on the one hand, I'm talking about mass deportations, and that's all they want to talk about because we have to have some sense to the way we allow people to come into this country. But on the other hand, I'm also saying let's staple, permanent residency cards to college degrees because we want talented people to come here.
Yeah, I love that. I think you're exactly right, Dan. That's exactly what he should say, and that's the policy is endorsed. He said that at the Business Roundtable meeting. Why we want the brainiacs, we want the people who want to work hard here and come in the right way. And if somebody gets a college degree here, let's let them stay, and they're going to be, people who are actually beneficiaries to the U.S. economy. I don't know if you guys saw, by the way, that there was a 15 Nobel Prize laureates put out a letter yesterday. And I swear to God, folks, I'm not making this up. They said, you cannot elect Donald Trump because Donald Trump will cause inflation.
Oh, my God.
Here's the thing that's really funny about this. I mean, it's so ironic. You cannot make this up. These are the 15, almost exactly the same 15 economists who said when Biden became president, they all signed this letter saying, don't worry, Joe Biden's policies won't cause inflation. Of course, 9 months later, we had 9% inflation. Don't you think maybe those Nobel Prize laureates should probably send back their PhDs and their Nobel Prizes and say, we have no idea what we're talking about? Instead, they're saying, no, it's Trump. Trump's the one who's going to cause inflation. The average inflation rate when Trump was president was 2%. Right. So I don't know. These academics are unbelievable.
They're the corollary to the Intel community and Hunter Biden's laptop. Steve Moore, economist, author of Govzilla. Thanks as always, Steve. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Have a great week. Take care.
You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Finding the right dentist for you and your family, one that you can build trust and confidence in and develop a long-term relationship with, can be difficult. If consistency in your dental care done in a compassionate and caring environment is important to you, then here's someone you should meet.
Hi, I'm Dr. Phil Fidgel of Broadway Family Dental Group. We've been blessed to care for generations of families and make building strong relationships with our patients a priority. Kids I treated early on in my practice now bring their own kids in. My partner, Dr. Michelle Nebelsberger, Dr. K as she's known in the office, started as a patient when she was 3. It's our goal to create a dental home where we can improve and then maintain your oral health, contributing to your overall health. This is my personal invitation to join us, kids, adults, and seniors. We have all the services and technologies, but most importantly, we have good people who want to take good care of you.
Broadway Family Dental Group, 847-824-5252. 847-824-5252.
I'm doing it early today, taking my Balance of Nature. Why? I skipped out yesterday by accident, and halfway through the day I was feeling sluggish and then realized, I didn't take my Balance of Nature. Been taking it for 10 years, 6 capsules a day. With that, you're getting 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. I swear by it. People who take it love it. In fact, we're addicted to it, right, Justin Kosick? And you will be too. It's good for the mind, body, and soul. So order your bottles of fruits and vegetable supplements today. 800-246-8751. 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago or go online to balanceofnature.com. Coupon code Chicago.
It's your life, your legacy. Shouldn't it be your choice? For nearly 2 centuries, Catholic Cemetery Chicago has been a haven for families, offering sacred spaces to honor these legacies. Take an active role by pre-planning your final arrangements. Alleviate your loved ones a future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of no interest payments and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Introducing Coin. That's COIGN.com. Coin is America's first credit card built by and for conservatives. Backed by Visa, Coin supports causes you care about every time you spend right at no cost to you and earn 1% cashback rewards on every purchase. Sign up today at COIGN.com. Select radio in the How Did You Hear About Us section. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Tune in every Saturday afternoon at 3 for the Money Hour Radio, brought to you by Pierre Shale Financial Group. Learn estate and tax planning strategies, choosing the right IRA, and the ever-important decision when to take Social Security benefits. When you have retirement in sight, sound decisions are critical. Tune in to the Money Hour Radio every Saturday afternoon at 3, right here on AM 560, brought to you by Pierre Shale Financial Group.
Advisor services offered through Pierre Shale Financial Group Incorporated. Pierre Shale Financial Group Incorporated is a registered independent investment advisor.
Olcon Incorporated has one opening available for an accountant in Park Ridge, Illinois to maintain bookkeeping records, manage payroll, issue 1099s using QuickBooks, prepare tax returns, ensure compliance with regulations, analyze business opportunities, develop budget, and prepare financial reports to management. From $54,974 per year. Requires a minimum of a BS in accounting, business, or related, plus 2 years experience. Send resume to olkhonninc@gmail.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Speaking of Thursday night's debates, where we'll be at Marcello's to watch with, AM 560 listeners. Look forward to that.
Yeah, the event has sold out, but we are your official election station here at AM 560.
And that CNN crew, that's Casey Hunt, who cut off the Trump campaign spokesman the other day because she dared to bring up the truth about Jake Tapper and his Hitler hysterics over the years in the direction of Trump. Casey Hunt also some hysterics of her own. She's another sort of red, dyed-in-the-wool red over at CNN. Here's her reporting back in the day when Rand Paul was attacked by his neighbor.
Details today on the incident that left Senator Rand Paul with 6 broken ribs. This might be one of my favorite stories, although, of course, we don't want to. Clearly, Senator Paul is still struggling. Paul's neighbor, Renee Boucher, is accused of beating the senator.
I mean, she celebrated after he was physically beaten.
One of my favorite stories. So you promote violence for political reasons? That's how we should settle our disputes? That might be interesting to bring up, too, just about CNN, because Trump should use CNN as a whipping boy, and Biden, too. But don't forget about the moderators and juxtaposing yourselves from the unfair treatment he's likely to endure from Tapper and Bash and that whole CNN cabal. That could serve him well on Thursday night.
Yep, he'll be debating 3 people and a network. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to Irish writer, thinker, talker John Waters about the Rainbow Reich.
It's 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
He lost the most expensive primary ever. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and Congressman Jamal Bowman is not happy about it in New York.
A super PAC of dark money can spend $20 million to brainwash people into believing something that isn't true.
The progressive who's accused Israel of genocide in Gaza, Bowman lost the Democratic primary by 17 points. George Latimer won it, backed by a lot of ad spending by pro-Israel groups. In Colorado, controversial conservative Lauren Boebert won a Republican primary in the new district she's switching to.
What you do want is a unified Republican Party that puts America first.
Some Trump-backed candidates lost primary races in South Carolina and Utah. The former president just posted on Truth Social that if elected again in November, he will get Evan Gershkovich set free from Russia before taking office, writing that leader Vladimir Putin has no respect for President Biden. Now, Gershkovich is an American journalist whose trial started today, 15 months after being arrested, accused of being a spy.
We were able to see the 32-year-old reporter appearing once again in that glass cage, appearing with a shaved head. Russia accuses Gershkovich of gathering secret information for the CIA about a company building tanks for Russia's war in Ukraine.
Fox's Alex Hogan. The Wall Street Journal calls the spy charge bogus and a travesty. The U.S. calls Gershkovich wrongfully detained. Julian Assange back home in Australia after a judge in the Northern Mariana Islands, U.S. territory, accepted a guilty plea to an espionage charge. His wife Stella Assange says,
Julian should never have spent a single day in prison. But today we celebrate because today Julian is free.
The WikiLeaks founder's punishment is time already served in jail in England, as Assange fought the U.S. prosecution for posting American military classified documents online. Next hour, we'll get new Supreme Court rulings. Among the cases left decided, the Trump appeal. The former president's claim he should be immune from prosecution. America's listening to Fox News.
73 degrees, cloudy skies at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 people were shot near a McDonald's in the Austin neighborhood late last night. Shooting took place in the 5100 block of West North Avenue. A 25-year-old and 26-year-old were transported from the scene to Mount Sinai Hospital. 2 new taxpayer-funded shelters are beginning to serve illegal migrants in Chicago. Pritzker administration plan would have one located near Midway Airport and one in Hyde Park. Cassie Almeida fought to reopen the Gage Park Fieldhouse after it was taken over by shelter advocates.
We 24/7 being on the trees here outside, having sex in the park in front of kids and everything. I think it's a huge mistake of him trying to open more shelters.
Construction on the Midway shelter is underway at a former hotel. The Highland Park parade shooting suspect is expected to change his plea today in Lake County Court. Criminal prosecution of Robert Cremo III could come to an end if he pleads guilty to some or all of the felony counts against him tied to a Highland Park shooting in July of 2022. And a trio of gravestones near Wrigley Field that predate the ballpark moved one step closer to demolition. The City Council Committee on Zoning and Landmarks Tuesday approved plans to tear down the buildings and replace them with a single 29-unit, 5-story apartment complex. Local alderman adds commercial activity in the privately owned buildings is no longer viable since rooftop seating was largely obscured by a massive video scoreboard that went up in 2015. Cubs lost to the Giants 5-1. Sox 4-3 losers to the Dodgers. Pair of French international prospects are expected to go 1-2 to the Hawks and Wizards in tonight's NBA draft. The Bulls will pick at number 11. The news, a service of Blue Star Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online at bluestarsecurityllc.com. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
General Mills earnings held up better than expected in the recent quarter. Even though sales declined, it expects a gradual improvement this year. General Mills makes Cheerios, Betty Crocker, Bisquick, Pillsbury, Wheaties, and other brands. Volkswagen will pour billions of dollars into electric vehicle maker Rivian. In exchange, VW will be able to use Rivian's technology in its own cars. The initial investment will be $1 billion, followed by $4 billion more if a joint venture between the two companies gets off the ground. Rivian is based in Irvine, California. Its SUVs and pickups are made in Normal, Illinois. Also, VW is dealing with a recall this morning of Atlas and Atlas Cross vehicles, which may have a wiring defect in front passenger airbags. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Dennis Prager explains today's environmentalist.
The environmentalist movement is overwhelmingly composed of people who want to destroy civilization as we know it. Whether they want to because they think that that's how it will be saved, or whether they just have a loathing of the freedom you have if you have a car.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Potholes don't care. Whether you drive an imported sports car or luxury SUV, Chicagoland potholes will get you and take a toll on alloy wheels. If you have scratched, bent, or damaged alloy wheels, don't buy new ones. Just call the Alloy Repair Specialists. Alloy Wheel Repair Specialists can make your wheels like new again. Over 200 5-star Google reviews say a lot. Things like, these guys are amazing, and they'll take care of your alloy wheels. Offering top-of-the-line repair and OEM replacement wheels, why buy new when you can fix it? Even change the color of your wheels to update your car's style.
Alloy Wheel Repair Specialists work with many car dealerships, reconditioning their used cars to help them get in showroom shape, and can also do this for your vehicle. From powder coating, machining, remanufacturing, straightening to welding, Alloy Wheel Repair Specialists do amazing quality repairs. Call or text today, 224-385-0432, 224-385-0432. That's 224-385-0432 or awrswheelrepair.com.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
You know, since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been committed to supporting our nation's first responders and veterans. They support America's heroes like U.S. Army Major Jonathan Turnbull. Now, Major Turnbull sustained devastating injuries at the hands of an ISIS suicide bomber. Tunnel to Towers gave him a specially adapted smart home designed for his needs. Join Tunnel to Towers. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month so this great work continues. Their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and it is a service of the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of ad properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago, $800 million in sales. You'll get the most value for your home. 708-828-0000. Westbound I-80, Will County, 2 left lanes blocked with a bad accident as you approach the Veterans Memorial Toll Road. That's I-355. Route 53 is jammed up northbound between Algonquin and Kirchhoff. Jane Addams jams up eastbound I-90 between Meacham and Route 53. Bishop Ford and I-57 jamming into the Ryan merge, and the Ryan at a half hour, 95th into the Burns Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A thunderstorm in spots for this morning, otherwise partly sunny, breezy. High today 85, clear tonight, low 62, and then sunny, cooler, less humidity tomorrow, high 74. Clouds and breezy, afternoon shower and thunderstorm on Friday, high 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
74 at O'Hare, 76 at Midway. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Any government school librarians listening, you may want to perk your ears up. Do you have Abolish the Family, a manifesto for care and liberation on the bookshelves for the kids? Because if you don't, please get it.
Is it going to be a bestseller, Dan?
Sophie Lewis's latest, she's some sort of rather insignificant but representative, feminist LGBTQ2S IA plus purported academic. Let me just offer you a little bit of the journey you'll take.
Oh, okay. I'd like to know.
In Abolish the Family.
Wow.
Anchored in a strikingly hopeful feminist Marxism, Lewis leads the reader through a systematic, didactic introduction, my favorite kind of introduction.
I love didactic.
To the politics and possibilities of cutting ourselves loose from the constraints and impositions of the traditional patriarchal capitalist family. Finally, where do I buy a ticket? Here's Sophie Lewis providing a little bit more color on the need to abolish the family post haste.
The fear that comes with the suggestion of sort of, sexual threat to to children, the weaponization of the sexual innocence of the child, is something that back then in the early 80s and still today, we do not have a brave, united kind of left response to, right? So when someone gets called a groomer in this weaponized, organized way, the template for which was laid by Anita Bryant in the 80s and the sort of Reaganite campaign of organized homophobia and sort of, Christian evangelical capitalism on steroids, we lose an enormous amount of movement memory about where the location of sexual violence actually is in the world, right? And in the fabric of capitalist social reproduction. Where the threat to children actually is the private patriarchal nuclear household, right? And when we sort of capitulate to the sorts of moves that make a kind of threat and a social, terror out of the figure of the queer person, we throw out this enormous and indispensable component of utopian wisdom.
What was? Can you translate that?
Yeah, I mean,
please?
she's such a deep thinker. Oh, it's just so heady and dense, isn't it? No, not really. Let me translate that for you. Stop being so timid when it comes to sexualizing children. Children are just little adults.
We embrace it.
So, don't let this groomer appellation in any way deter you. And, the good news for Sophie Lewis and her fellow travelers is it's not. Like, for example, over at Nickelodeon, where a transvestite, a man dressed up as a woman, has a little ditty about the pride flag.
Doesn't it just fill you with pride, showing who you are on the inside? Wave that pride flag up high. Show your pride, wave those flags, everybody. Here we go. Red light, orange, healing, yellow is sunlight, green, nature, blue, harmony, purple is spirit, baby blue, pink, white represent transgender people, and black and brown represent the queer and trans people of color.
Come on, one more time, everybody. No?
I didn't know what that meant. No.
I wrote recently a commentary for my little counterculture podcast about Pride Month going before the fall. We fly our flags, we post our yard signs demanding kindness or else. We parade around our graffitied streets enjoying the local Village People impersonators simulate sex acts for the kids, perhaps even on the kids. We attend retrospectives of Robert Mapplethorpe's groundbreaking artistry to remind ourselves how far we've come since the bad old days when some people didn't think taking pictures of a naked dude with a bullwhip up his anus was worthy of a grant from the National Endowment of the Arts. Can you believe we were ever so bigoted, hard-hearted, parsimonious, mean-spirited, hateful, ignorant, intolerant, and exclusionary? Well, no, of course not. That's why we have June, the bacchanal of love, inclusion, and tolerance. Mm-hmm. And just a reminder on this. Oh, and lest anybody be taken aback by my tone, I'm not conciliatory enough. By the way, the caricature is not mine; it's theirs. And I'm talking about the Sophie Lewises of the world and the LGBTQIA2S plus ideologues and apparatchiks who basically treat people as one-dimensional human beings. Your value is who you sleep with, how you express your sexuality and gender identity, and nothing else. What a way to diminish another human being. But anybody who doesn't wave the flag in response to these antics is the hateful one? No, I don't think so. And to the extent that this is all, oh, it's just this, it's just that, it's just another holiday celebration of inclusion and so on and so forth. Again, it's a political movement. Can't stress it enough. It's been afoot for at least 100 years. Frankfurt School. People talk a lot about, to some extent, about Freud and Marcuse, Foucault, but Wilhelm Reich. I mean, just Wilhelm Reich's writings back, who is, by the way, Freud's prize student, psychiatrist. He's the one who termed the coin sexual revolution 4 decades before the hippies were calling for it at Woodstock. He is the one that knew and expressed that the advance of Marxism began with atheism. The church had to be destroyed. Reich said Christianity only survives through tradition being passed down from one generation to the next through the family, which is why Marxists everywhere and always target the family first, just like you heard from Sophie Lewis. They still do. Why? Because it works. A friend of mine, Doug Johnson, who's the editor of Touchstone magazine, wrote about Reich. Reich correctly surmised that the way to knock the props out from underneath the American family would be to condition Western man to see contraception, fornication, adultery, pornography, sodomy, etc., as perfectly normal and not unhealthy things. And he saw sex education in schools as the best way to divest parents of their moral authority. The late Italian philosopher Augusto Del Noce described Reich's book, The Sexual Revolution, as, quote, the Mein Kampf of permissivism. How's that for a book jacket blurb? And so that's where we're at. 100 years later, that's where we're at. People have no appreciation for how ideologically motivated and politically driven is all the drivel you repeat to yourselves and the symbolism you post on your social media and outside your home and the parades you attend. It's all very innocent, isn't it? Actually, it's not. And if you knew anything or had the courage to share any information with your neighbor, maybe there'd be less of it and more sense afoot in the West. For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined by John Waters, Irish thinker, talker, writer. His Substack, John Waters Unchained. John Waters, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hello, Dan. How are you? Thanks very much.
In your piece, The Pride Reich, Writing for a Fall, you invoke, this is a good one because it's apropos, you invoke Havel's, Václav Havel's famous sort of greengrocer metaphor. And why don't you recount that for us and how it applies to the modern context?
Yeah, well, Havel was writing in his essay in 1978, The Power of the Powerless. This was at the height of the darkness, as it were, in Czechoslovakia after the 68 uprising had been quashed by the Soviet tanks, and the revolution that eventually culminated in the year in 1989 was in its early stages, and he was talking about how the regime, the communist regime, maintained order and maintained obedience. And he used this example of the greengrocer who had put a notice among the vegetables in his window. And the notice said, workers of the world unite. And Havel said, of course, look, the greengrocer doesn't believe in this sentiment. He doesn't want anything to do with this. He thinks it's nonsense and so on and so on. But he does it as a gesture of obedience. What Havel's point was that in order for this that because of this, that other people, the neighbours, passers-by, the shop across the road, they're all affected by this, and that the way to actually counteract this process was to just take the notice away and live with the consequences. In other words, that was the power of the powerless. But he was making the point, and you see this I can see it every June now. June, which used to be such in our childhood, used to be a beautiful month now, has been turned into a month that represents filth in our societies. Notwithstanding that they've stolen the rainbow to paint over the filth, it's still filth. And that we're here every month now, we have to suffer this for a month, listening to this gibberish all the time. Not, just from, what you might call impotent homosexuals making noise on their own behalf, but the entire establishment of our society is being taken over by it. The media of our society is being taken over by it. The police cars going around with rainbows painted on them all the time. How did this happen? You know, and in the essay I asked this question because, you know, as a young man, a teenager and a young man in my 20s, I was, you know, it's like I was somewhat left inclined, and I was interested in politics and wanted to be involved in issues. And at that time, way back in the 70s, early 80s, you know, C&D, the campaign for nuclear disarmament, was at, you know, being at the height of the Cold War, was quite a significant organization. And myself and a friend started a group of this in our own town, you know, and tried to build it and tried to, you know, get publicity. And so it was the devil's own job to get anybody to be even interested, you know. I mean, the idea of going to, you know, a business and asking for sponsorship would have been absurd, you know, to go to the police and say, would you mind putting C&D on the doors of your car? You know, we would like you to do that because it's a very good cause and, you know, it's about nuclear disarmament and so on. They would say, get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the important thing is to understand that none of this is organic. This did not happen. This was not a spontaneous eruption of affection for homosexuals. Let's rule that out from the very start. That there's something else going on here. When you have all this corporate effort going in to bullying, it's an exercise, an annual exercise. You know, Pride is an exercise in bullying, a bullying of the public. And the imposition on the public mind of the idea that if you dissent from this, then you're the only one, pretty much. You know, you're alone. You're isolated, and rightly so. You lack, you know, compassion. You lack enlightenment. You lack tolerance. When in fact, if you speak privately to people, everybody you meet virtually now is disgusted by it. And disgusted by what it represents, the things that have erupted in our lives, particularly in the last decade. It's a trans horror show, you know, where children are being deliberately maimed by an infrastructure which involves science and medicine, and so at the highest levels in our societies, where children are being maimed for life and perhaps being rendered suicidal on account of this ideology. And when you see drag queen story hours, you know, in our libraries and so on, where you have hairy-arse men with little children on their knees, reading them, you know, and making innuendos to them, you know, and the parents having to smile, you know, fixedly as they watch this, lest they be called homophobes. You know, this bullying has to stop, really, and it can stop if we would just simply begin together, as Havel says, to take that sign out of the window, to actually utter the words, look, I dissent from this. I refuse to do this.
What's going on in Ireland now? Because I know there was that movement afoot to alter the Constitution that failed a few months back. That was along the lines of all of this social engineering, this cultural Marxism. But
yes,
is that pushback being sustained?
Not especially, Dan, I have to say. I mean, we've had a couple of elections since then, local elections and also European Parliament elections. And I myself went as a candidate for the European Parliament, rather, you know, speculatively, in order to test this temperature. Because on March the 8th, there were two referendums voted upon on the same day, and they were both related to family affairs. The mother in the home was one. Then the definition of family, whether it should be about marriage or whether it should include other kinds of relationships and other kinds of, you know, permanent. I forget the word now, but there was a word like that. So I can come back to you in a moment. In which, you know, it was really pointing very clearly to the idea of mass inward migration, and you know, it was like stable relationships, that kind of thing. In other words, that if you had your next door neighbour and you had a good relationship, well, you could make a constitutional case that he should be brought to Ireland with you, and you'd be entitled to bring him with you as, you know, somebody who you are attached to, and so on. All this was rejected, 75 to 25 approximately. Even though the media was all on the other side, even though the media up to the day before the referendum were predicting a yes victory, it was a decisive no. And of course, we then thought that this might translate into a broader understanding. Unfortunately, that didn't materialize in the elections that I spoke about, the local elections and the European elections. So we're back into ambiguity as to what the public mindset is about. And you see, in all of these contexts, Dan, we've been dealing with something for the last decade or more, which I call mutism, which is this is what one of the core things the LGBT goons did from the very beginning, which was that it silenced people and made them afraid to speak, and made them thereafter afraid even to think, lest their thoughts might show on their faces. And that when they leave their house and they speak even to close neighbours or whatever, friends, they are very circumspect as to what they say, because you might just say, well, you might get the interruption. What do you mean by that? That's a very homophobic thing to say, or that's a very racist thing to say. You know, in other words, for the first time in probably the most argumentative and garrulous population in the world, the Irish, we were told we will actually acquiesce in our own gagging. You know, and you know, so it's very sinister, all of this stuff, obviously. But if you look at the connections, you look about the way the corporations have become involved in this, you look at the way the authorities, you look at the way judges now seem to take it as a matter of course that, you know, like, for example, like a police car painted in the rainbow colours. Imagine if you are threatened by a gang of, you know, LGBT warriors. As I was, actually, some years ago, there was a series of tweets going up all over the place on Twitter saying, if you see, this was after the referendum here we had here, where I questioned it and then went against certain propositions that were being put forward, because they were basically sledgehammering the Irish Constitution in order to put in gay marriage into the very centre of the meaning of marriage. And I disputed this I said, well, create your own marriage called gay marriage by all means, but leave marriage as it is. And of course, so anyway, there was this campaign which was hashtag, you know, if you see John Waters, give him a punch from me, right? And so I gathered up all of these tweets and I went to my local police station just for the heck of it, you know, to see what would happen. And I filed a complaint, and several months passed by and nothing happened. And then two police officers in plain clothes came to my house and sat down and drank their tea, and they said, oh, very sorry, John, you know, we're 100% behind you, you know, or you're pushing an open door here, you know, but, you know, the law hasn't caught up on this form of harassment. But actually, strangely enough, if you get embroiled in an argument with an LGBT activist on the street, and the police arrive with their rainbow coloured car, you know what's going to happen then. They're going to arrest you, and they're not going to arrest the other guys, you know. So, in other words, what we're seeing is the enactment of a two-tier society in which certain categories are protected and defended by the state and its institutions, and others are villainized as a result of being in dispute or disagreement with the people who are preferred. And that's what we've come to now, a two-tier society in Ireland, and I guess in every other country as well in the West.
John Waters, Irish thinker, talker, and writer, his Substack, John Waters Unchained. John, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Ben. Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Fat Beach Day, or Fat Beach Day, or Beach Day for the Fats in New York. I don't know.
Are you going to fly me there? Am I going to get sponsored?
What? Oh, what, to go and
for me to go
and chastise them all?
No.
Pass out Balance of Nature. 8:38.
But first, let's stop by the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
It's 8:30, 75 degrees in Chicago with cloudy skies. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich has gone on trial in the Russian city of Yekaterinburg on espionage charges. The 32-year-old journalist appeared in court with his head shaved. Kenyans woke up to the smell of tear gas in the capital of Nairobi, a day after protesters stormed Parliament amid violent demonstrations over a controversial tax plan. Thousands of protesters stormed Kenya's Parliament, burning parts of that building. Former President Donald Trump could announce a pick for vice president as soon as this week. Several major networks are reporting, including NBC News. AM 560 will carry live coverage of this week's CNN presidential debate from Fox News Radio beginning at 8 p.m. on Thursday night. 2 were shot near a McDonald's in the Austin neighborhood Tuesday night. Shooting took place around 10:45 in the 5100 block of North Avenue. The pair are in Mount Sinai Hospital in good condition. City Council members are set to meet this week discussing new tax and revenue ideas following a survey of 16 possible proposals circulated by 6th Ward Chicago Alderman William Hall. The mayor revealed 4 public forums for citizens to give their input on revenue and spending, the first one being July 22nd. The Highland Park parade shooting suspect is expected to change his plea today in Lake County Court. The criminal prosecution of Robert Cremo III could come to an end if he pleads guilty to some or all of the felony counts against him tied to the Highland Park shooting in July of 2022. And a teacher at a South Suburban high school is accused of sexually abusing a former student, Ron Giglio, who is an instructor at Bloom Trail High School, has been charged with 2 counts of child seduction. His accuser has filed a civil suit and spoke while protecting her identity.
I used to tell myself that I wasn't a victim because it's easier to say you're not a victim than to really understand what happened to you.
Giglio bonded out of Lake County Court in Northwest Indiana on Friday. He's expected back in court on July 8. Chicago sports, Cubs lost to the Giants 5-1. White Sox lost to the Dodgers 4-3. Former Blackhawk headed to the Hockey Hall of Fame, Jeremy Roenick, one of 7 members named to the 2024 class yesterday. Roenick will be inducted into the Hall November 11th. The news, a service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday morning at 6:30 right here on AM 560, The Answer. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Tomorrow night, it's the rematch of the century as Joe Biden and Donald Trump share the debate stage for the first time since 2020, and the whole world will be watching. Don't miss a second of AM 560's coverage, beginning with the Sean Thompson Show at 4, followed by pre-debate coverage with Mike Gallagher, Hugh Hewitt, and Sebastian Gorka at 7. And then hear Fox News coverage of the CNN presidential debate, beginning at 8 tomorrow night, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
This is Seth Leibson for Townhall.com. There's a war going on in northern Israel. You don't hear too much about it, but daily rocket and drone attacks have displaced tens of thousands of Israeli Jews from their homes, all at the hands of an Islamic army, Hezbollah. This Iranian terror group has been operating in flagrant violation of UN resolutions, both in their daily provocations and in where they have located themselves at Israel's border. Israel is beginning to retaliate, and they have every right and indeed a need to do so. Hezbollah's calling card was the slaughter of 241 Americans in 1983. Lest anyone misconstrue what they were about, their flag makes it clear. Party of Allah, it says, with an image of a raised arm with a rifle, a sword, and a globe. Simply put, they are the most formidable face of radical Shiite terrorism. And yet the Biden administration, even this week, is sending mixed messages about whether or not we'd help defend Israel if the war in the north escalates. The truth is, this should not be hard. I'm Seth Leibson.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I work for the New York City Fire Department. I've been using Balance of Nature for 8 years, I believe. It's been phenomenal. And I just got retired after 33 years. I work long hours, a lot of overtime. I teach at the Fire Academy. I run with the mornings. I work out all the time. And your product has been so successful for me in my regiment. I have nothing but high praise for you guys.
Splash into your summer with Balance of Nature's summer savings. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first set. Don't miss out. This offer is only available while supplies last. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code Chicago.
8:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is service of Discover. As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live, U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime. Limitations do apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card. Outbound Edens, you're jammed up. Peterson to Gulf Road. Inbound Kennedy, slam solid. Edens Junction through Division, 72 in to the Circle. Ike 1 hour, 390 to the Old Post Office. Stevenson, 40 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Stop and go traffic on the Jane Addams I-90 eastbound between Meacham and Route 53. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Pop-up thunderstorm could be had this morning. Otherwise, clouds and sun with a high near 85, clear 62 overnight. Currently cloudy and 75. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Fat Beach Day. Fat Beach Day in New York City to create an accepting environment for the plus-size community, a space for people to be themselves, entirely themselves. Initial picture I thought, is that MK Pritzker?
Hey, hey.
Holy God.
No, she's on Ozempic. She's on the way down, not on the way up.
Yeah. I'm so self-conscious at the beach, and I never go around people that look like me, said Emma Zach. I'm excited we've created the space for folks with bigger bodies to have a good time. Come on, one day of summer, can't you let the fatties take over the beach? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. This was at Jacob Riis Park in New York. But it's not the only fat-oriented event that is planned. There's a Fat Friends pool party.
Oh, you know I love a pool party.
Fat Friends pool party will be in Chicago July 13th.
Oh. Seriously?
Yeah.
Where?
I don't have the details. I'm sure you can find it. Fat Friends Pool Party if you're, perhaps a former member of the Fat Boys or just a plus-size person. You want to go hang out. Get there early before the food's gone. Also, a Bellies Out Beach Day in L.A.
Bellies Out?
Mm-hmm. That's coming up in a few weeks.
Is that for you guys? Because you guys have...
I don't know who the you guys is.
This guy does Pilates.
Fat Bodies and Riis, the park, are a match made in heaven, said Cleo Alana. They brought heaven to Queens. Because Fat Bodies are made in heaven, too. Look at them. They're frolicking of sorts.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 646. Well, we don't have our text line running.
I don't want to, I don't
It should be up soon. Well, you see that, I see this. this picture.
Yeah. It's Emma Zach again saying it's a really bad time, not just on the internet, but in society to be fat. It feels really violent in a lot of ways. You think it wouldn't be such a thing because New York is so open and you dress however you want. I guess I always say I never realized how much people hate fat people until I got on TikTok and started following Amy Jacobson.
Hey,
That's what she said.
hey. No, she did
That's what she said. So go ahead. Go ahead, attack fat people.
No.
You can't help yourself. Just do it.
I just don't know why we're celebrating poor health choices.
Oh,
Because
boy.
because with obesity
now
comes
you've done it.
no. Because people that died during COVID, 79% were obese or morbidly obese. A fact. Sorry, science and data numbers don't lie, and they're more likely to have diabetes, hypertension, heart problems. And I mean, could skinny people go, or not skinny, but in shape people go to the beach that day?
Can't you just let them have their day?
No, I'm just.
Do you have to insinuate yourself everywhere?
No, I mean, it would be discriminatory if they only let in fat people.
Oh, God. You can have a special day. It's not discriminatory systemically. It's not the Fat Beach. It's Fat Beach Day.
Oh, okay.
And you can
Well,
go
I'm just,
and, you know, you don't have to go there and rub it in. Look at me. I'm this tall, skinny blonde. Why do you have to be? Why do you have to be a mean girl?
I
like
work
that?
out. I work out every day. This just doesn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm getting older and things are shifting. I don't like it.
Oh,
but
boy.
I'm not going to let it all go. It's called exercising some self-control. Now, I know genetics are involved. I get that. I understand. And but there's Ozempic. There's drugs now. I mean, Oprah's on Ozempic. Her best friend, what's her name? Gail King. She's on Ozempic. I heard MK's on Ozempic.
Well,
a lot of people are on
you
Ozempic.
think
Kelly Clark. Look at Kelly Clarkson. She's this big now.
Yeah,
It didn't just happen.
You think you could? I mean, this is the whole like take a pill and so you don't have to do that. I don't.
So you don't have to. Do
I
the
don't know
work.
that I can recommend that the bariatric surgeries and the take a pill kind of stuff.
Well, Chris Christie, was he at the beach on Saturday in New York?
No, he's in New Jersey.
Didn't he
sitting
eat
on a
through
beach,
his lap band?
Sitting on a beach by himself on that
Did
little
who,
chair.
Who ate through their lap band? Was it Bill Belichick or Chris Christie? Because
No,
Bill Belichick
it wasn't
talked to Chris
wasn't
Christie into doing
Belichick.
it.
No. But back to the important point, the take a pill.
Right.
You think that
you
you think there's no potential downsides to that health wise?
Oh, there's going to be downside. People get Ozempic face. Have you seen that? Skinny people in my hood were taking Ozempic that had no business taking Ozempic because they just wanted to lose 20 pounds for a wedding they had to go to.
And they look
their
like
faces look like aliens.
they look like Richard Lewis
hop
on Curb before he died.
Exactly.
When it looked like he had already died.
And then she went out. My friend that was on it, she went out to eat at like just a nice steakhouse. Took 2 bites, ran to the bathroom. And you know what she did? Don't play that sound. Don't you? She got sick because it was too much.
Binging and purging.
Well, she started out with 5 milliliters or whatever. Now she's up to 10. Now she's addicted and she's stabbing herself everywhere. And the side effects. I mean, if you drink when you're on that, you can get pancreatic failure. But she doesn't even want to drink because she feels so full all the time that she doesn't want to eat anything or drink anything. And now she looks like an alien.
Well, what I see as I look at these pictures, so nicely provided to us by the New York Post, is a lot of BBWs.
What is a BBW?
Big, beautiful women.
Well, I mean, there are some plus. So there are some plus size models who are good looking. There are.
This one.
Not that one. But there are beautiful women who are big. I'm not being facetious. That's true.
Give us an example of who you think.
Well, one of those swimsuit models on the SI swimsuit edition, she was big, but she had a beautiful face.
David in Lansing, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh boy.
Good morning, guys. I've been listening to your show. Great show.
Hate fest because of Amy.
I watch a lot of MSNBC at a relative's house because I'm forced to. I cannot change the channel. But I've noticed a lot of Wegovy and Ozempic commercials on that station. It's probably at the very minimum, 1 in 4 commercials is a pharmaceutical commercial, and I noticed that it's interspersed with a lot of commercials with cookies and cakes. So they're giving you the cause and the solution in all the commercials.
It's a circle of life. As a
Who
American
doesn't trust
consumer.
Big Pharma?
They're keeping corporations in business, and corporations are people. Have a nice day.
Thanks for the call. Well, and then also too, I mean, everybody's appetites got bigger after COVID. Appetites and bodies. Well, because because they. I mean,
because the gyms were closed, and then the flipping bike path was 18 miles of lakefront.
The average weight gain, like men and women, I mean, was massive. You couldn't even believe it. I remember when we talked about the data. I mean, it's dozens of pounds.
I'll find out.
Big numbers. And now they're all at Jacob Riis Park in New York. Danny on the road.
Yeah, what's going to happen is you're going to have that fat day in New York. Everybody's going to get in the water. The sea levels are going to rise. And the green climate people are going to be, see, told you, sea levels are rising. That's what's going to happen. I can see it coming.
That's a concern. That's sort of a concern like Congressman Hank Johnson might have.
All right.
Mike and Hammond.
It's going to fall over.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Amy, I believe that swimsuit model you're talking about was trans, and that's why Sports Illustrated is going out of business. In addition, why don't you use your skills, Amy, and do some beach volleyball with these people? Get them in shape.
Yeah, how about some volunteer work? Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Yeah.
Get over there.
Why be
Go
such
to
a
the
critic?
pool party.
Why don't you stop cursing the darkness and shine a light?
Well, you could start even if you have to sit down, you could start by doing some arm exercises to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
To burn calories.
Why don't you do a Jane Fonda workout video but specifically for the morbidly obese? You could do it. You could have Pritzker produce it.
Oh yeah.
Maybe even star in it. Remember, I mean, they're getting organized. The fat people are getting organized.
They've got demands. I mean, remember she wanted 2 seats, and then Southwest caved and gave her 2 seats.
Well, that's
because she's big, and then now she wants a bigger hallway at a hotel.
You're talking about J-Bay, but I mean, they're getting organized as a cluster, as yet another insular, de facto segregated group. So, when the Civil War comes. Or like the Warriors comes, where you have all these sort of warlord factions come out to play. Yeah, you better take the fat people under consideration.
I'm going to FatCon in Seattle, Washington, January 5th through 7th, and I want to see you there. FatCon is a 3-day fat liberation celebration, y'all. We will be celebrating fat liberation, body acceptance, and the power of being in fat community. With over 60 hours of programming spanning from policy, legislation, healthcare, community, and visual arts, plus a ton more, this is sure to be something you don't want to miss. The vibes are going to be immaculate. With a fat brunch, a fat fashion show, and a fat vendor marketplace, there is so much to do. Plus, there's some really cool experiences you can sign up for, like some fat liberation photo shoots and some incredible shopping experiences with 2 big blondes. Being in fat community with other fat people who just accept you for who you are and get it is such a great experience, and I want every single person watching this to be able to have that experience with us. Ticket sales for the FatCon are going to be ending very soon. You can go to the link in my bio and use code JBAE to save 25% on your tickets. I hope to see each and every one of you at the FatCon in Seattle, Washington, January 5th through 7th.
And the early signups get a dozen eclairs. Just to encourage.
I mean, it's a business now. They're having FatCon like Comic-Con and furry conventions.
Well, it's a
moneymaker.
It's identity based, you see.
Right.
That's you talk about her wanting the special provisions, the airports or the commercial airlines and the hotels to accommodate people of a certain size. Well, this is all the same sort of grievance politics based on identity. I don't know why you necessarily want to identify by your body type, but they do, because again, what's the way to be exalted in the West these days? Be part of a victim group. So that's the role. That's the game that so many of them are playing. And, you don't want to lard on to it, but I mean, let's just, we have to call things how they are. Plus, by the way, when I think of a plus size model, I don't think of a transvestite on the cover of SI or Gail King or some I like a plus size model in the true vernacular would be like Kate Upton.
Oh, yeah, she's pretty.
Yeah, but I think most people when they mean
She's
plus
not
size model,
obese.
no, that's my point.
God, 40% of Americans
We're
gained weight during the pandemic.
We're-
Average 2.5 pounds. 27% gained 12.5 pounds or more. Oh,
I think it was even. I think the numbers were higher than that. I saw some numbers higher than that, but we're dumbing down plus size model, and that concerns me.
oh, okay. Would you date a plus size model? Yeah.
I mean, if
Well, would she date you? Is
if
the
Kate
question.
Upton decides that Justin Verlander isn't cutting it,
Then
then
call Dan.
she
He's
has
available.
she has my number. Kevin in Austin, Texas.
Amy, Dan, I was thinking that Republicans get a 2-for-1. They could actually get people start walking precincts to get out to vote and early vote in November, especially in the 4 congressional seats that they could actually win in Illinois.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Kevin in Austin, Texas always makes it political. All right. Anything else you want to?
Well, speaking of overweight women, I should. Hillary Clinton's coming to Illinois.
No, she's morbidly obese.
Well, is she
She's
morbidly obese?
She's a pig.
Oh.
Yeah, she's a pig.
It's
And in a lot of ways.
It's a conversation. Are you ready for this?
Uh-huh.
About politics, marriage, and family.
What about weight? Carolyn Moments.
Hi, good morning, Dan and Amy. I thought maybe the airlines could get around this if they charged a fee for flying and sold it per seat, not per person, but you have to buy a ticket for a seat, like $99 a seat, and that rather than per person.
Well, you do have to buy a seat. Well, that's the whole point. That's the whole point right now, that they're complaining about having to buy 2 seats, and the point is you should be sell. They're saying you should sell based on the person, and so if the person is 400 pounds and they need 2 seats, then you get the seat price, not the 2-seat price. You see.
Oh, see, no, that it should be per seat.
Well, it is per seat. Thanks for the call, Carol. Right now, it is per seat.
Right.
Did you ever go on you ever fly and you have to pick out your seats and
Right,
you get
but
pay?
then she pays for 2, the way that the fat people do it.
Yeah, go ahead. You're like the Jane Goodall of fat people. You've studied them.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go
At
ahead.
Southwest Airlines, you buy both tickets, and then later you ask for the refund for that second ticket, and they'll give it to you because you're obese, because you have to put down on.
Yeah,
there.
but that's on Southwest. But if you're getting assigned seats, then you have to pick your seats.
Right.
So you'd have to pick 2, and then the way it's all a la carte now. You have to pay $14 if you want this window
sit here
seat.
with
so
your
forth.
family.
So that doesn't work. This is why Jay Bay and the Fat Revolt is on, because they want per person prices, not per seat prices.
Okay.
And then this is also a discussion too about
there's a
weighing customers because of
Exactly.
The aerodynamics of flight. That's always a concern.
Yeah, and if you weigh more, you have to pay more.
And so
There's an airline in Japan that does it.
So any more aspersions you wanted to
Yeah,
cast?
I mean, again, celebrating obesity. I don't get it.
All right. Amy Jacobson has the last word.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mailhouse Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mailhouse with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mailhouse, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling.
I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I work for the New York City Fire Department. I've been using Balance of Nature for 8 years, I believe. It's been phenomenal. And I just got retired after 33 years. I work long hours, a lot of overtime. I teach at the Fire Academy. I run with the mornings. I work out all the time. And your product has been so successful for me in my regiment. I have nothing but high praise for you guys.
Splash into your summer with Balance of Nature's summer savings. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first set. Don't miss out. This offer is only available while supplies last. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code Chicago.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost.
Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
AM 560, The Answer.
You know that guy William Sweats who tried to kill Kim Fox with a big gulp?
Yeah, mutual combatants, but yes, go on.
He sort of looks like Toby Smith.
Oh.
If you know Toby Smith, he was in Capote, in one of the Capote movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
He looks like a character actor. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for making this part of your morning. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Thunderstorms this morning, otherwise lower humidity than normal.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy
Chubby
Wednesday.
Chasers.
Is this the day? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Supreme Court is about to rule as we await decisions on a big Trump case and about a dozen others.
A landmark opinion on whether former President Trump or any other former president has immunity from criminal prosecution.